Chris, I had some local pizza. It was pretty good.
Was it?
Yep. And that's about all the news I got.
We also did.
Go ahead.
I was just saying we also had some local pizza.
No shit.
Yep.
Was it worth the price for what you had?
It was thin, so I had to deal with that. But that's a normal problem anywhere now, it seems.
You're a thick pizza guy, huh?
I don't want so. Back in the day, hand tossed used to be a happy medium between thin and pan.
Mm-hmm.
Now hand tossed is thin.
Yeah.
And thin is tissue paper.
Yeah.
So I don't want, a lot of thickness. I just want a little bit more, that happy medium.
Yeah. I've never been a fan of thin crust myself. My parents always got it for whatever reason, and I never liked it. I thought it was the only pizza ever made until I had thick crust, and I was like, oh shit. But again, for me, there is also a limit. Mm-hmm. I don't want too thick. I think I've made mention before. There's a local mall near here, and they have a pizza place inside of it, and they would sell like basically a quarter of a pizza for like I don't know, like $2-3, something like that. But like the pizza was like a fucking loaf of bread with a thin layer of shit on top. That's always how I remembered it. It was very, very thick crust. That's a bit too much.
Yeah.
But I had some local pizza to celebrate my birthday. It was very good. I enjoyed it. And then I went and had sushi for my actual birthday dinner. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed that too. I had a fairly good birthday this year, to say the least. But that's down the road. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the end of time. I'm Michael.
I'm Chris.
And today we're going to talk politics. 67 people stopped the podcast. We don't even have 67 people to listen to this thing right now. Highly unlikely. Not to say that Chris and I are above or beneath political discussion, but no. Only thing that even happened political-wise that I know of is our current president, Donald Trump, gave his inauguration speech, which I didn't watch because I was too busy doing important things. What a horrible citizen I am. Chris, It's been a week. It's been exactly a week. Exactly a week. I think you went first last time. I guess I can go first this time. But before we do, any actuallys to offer up to the audiences?
Nope, but I do have some news to discuss once, wherever you want to put it at, either before or after our weeks.
That's juicy. Is it good news? Uh-oh.
Either way.
We'll save it. We'll save it anyway. Keep the audience just on the edge of their seats while we talk about pizza and sushi and politics. Let's see, where do I begin? I'll get one movie out of the way. I did watch one movie yesterday. I don't think I belong in this world anymore. I believe that's the title. I have to go double check. I want to get the actual title correct. It was pretty good. It's a Netflix movie. I checked it out. It didn't blow my mind. It did have a couple of hilarious scenes in it, but I don't feel at home in this world anymore. That's what it is.
What kind of movie is it?
Well, it's a comedy drama-ish, kind of slice of life comedy-ish. Very unique. Has like I said, it's got some hilarious points in it. Made me chuckle pretty hard, but a movie of like a top 25 contender of 2017, it was not. I enjoyed it, but probably as a one-watch thing. It's about the only movie/TV thing I watched. I mean, I guess in a way you could kind of say I'm slowly working my way through watching two best friends play Batman, the Telltale game. I believe they're on season 2.
Yeah.
So I'm watching that. I don't know. That's, as I've mentioned before, YouTube is my TV.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I got that on Games with Gold or something.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's Telltale, so you know. On that note, I have been told that I should check out. I've been recommended by several people that I should check out The Wolf Among Us.
Yes, I've heard the same thing, and I actually think that's another one that came with Games of Gold. But I was already planning on playing it before then. I've heard good things as well.
Mm-hmm. Again, it's a Telltale game, so if anybody in the audience is not familiar with Telltale games, a good series to jump on immediately, and one that I highly, highly recommend you get on, even if you haven't watched the TV series, is the Telltale Walking Dead video game series. Specifically Season 1. I haven't made it through Season 2 or 3. I've heard kind of middling to below average reviews about 2 and 3. But for me, Season 1 was great. And this is coming from a guy who, another thing, and I guess I'll just tangent on for a minute. I am sick to fucking death of zombies. Chris, I'm tired of fucking zombies. I have been tired of the zombie bullshit I was tired of it 6-7 years ago. I feel like I've been tired of it for a decade. It seems like it is a trope. It is a genre, a theme in movies, TVs, music, pop culture, everything that will not fucking go away. I don't know why, but it won't. Post-apocalyptic things I can get into, but when I see that the result is, it's because zombies, and it's, I'm just totally fucking, I don't care anymore. There are a few exceptions here and there are very few and far between, but just the whole entire genre of zombies. Maybe we can have an anti-topic one day about zombies, and I can just get this shit off my chest. But the reason why I'm saying this is because on top of not watching a lot of TV series and not being interested in a lot of mainstream TV, read Game of Thrones. That's another episode we can have one day. But one of the most popular TV series in recent history has been The Walking Dead. I know what it is. I've watched a few of the episodes. I made it. This is what kills me. I was hesitant to watch that show because of, like I said, I'm sick and tired of zombie bullshit.
Yeah.
So I never watched it. And I was like, I don't even have cable or anything. So even if I had to watch it, I had to borrow it from somebody or get it from somewhere, etc., etc. So many people recommended it. So many friends told me about it. It's so good. It's so good. It's so good. So I finally said, fuck it. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'll check it out just to get my opinion. This was probably 2, 3, 4 years ago. I watched first season. I made it through the first 4 episodes and was like, yep, this is boring. I don't care. Not only the zombie shit is, again, the zombie stuff is an afterthought. I get that. I understand that that's not the main drive of that show.
Yeah.
But it just didn't draw me. It didn't have any appeal to me. It was mediocre to boring for me, so I dropped it. Started telling people about it. I made it like 3, 4 episodes in. They were like, oh my God, the next episode is where it picked up. I'm like, well, I'm kind of reminded of Nier Automata where they say, oh, you beat the first 2 innings. You got to wait to the third one. That's where the shit really gets good. The third game is where it's good. Oh, man. So I'm quite sure I'm missing out on a TV show masterpiece by not watching The Walking Dead, but sorry, I gave it a shot. I didn't get into it. I moved on with life. However, and this is a big however, The Walking Dead video game, I definitely got into. I watched the entirety of Two Best Friends play it. Again, you'll notice a theme with me. And then I bought it and played through a couple different ways myself. Enjoyed it every single time I watched it and played it. That game is good. That is, Telltale games are known for making storylines very good. They make them very fluid, a lot of interconnectability, a lot of choose your own adventure, and almost every choice has a solid diverging impact on what you do in the future. Yeah. Based on what you chose. I love it. It's very good. To give one example, to give one spoiler example, I guess spoiler, because I'm only going to give one for The Walking Dead Season 1 Telltale video game. There is a scenario where you, the main character, and it's a good guys, it's been a while since I've seen this, so bear with me. But you come into the camp, this camp area, and there's this lady, and she's basically the fucking head honcho. She is the boss of this camp. And you don't like the way that she's doing business. You think she's being kind of a bitch. You think she's kind of running show sideways. You think that she's making poor decisions. And you confront her and bring this to her attention. And she just basically goes, oh, you don't like the way I'm running shit here. I've got all these people and these kids to feed, protect, this fucking business to run. I got all this shit going on, but you think that I'm doing it wrong. Okay, I'll tell you what. Here's what we're going to do. There are I may be fucking the numbers up, but there are 13 adults in this camp, and there are 6 kids. Here is 9 pieces of food. Go feed people. It's like, oh, shit. And every person that you do or don't feed in some way, shape, or form, it will have a good or a bad result. A lot of decisions in that game are, maybe I'm not making the right decision, but I'm making the absolute best decision that I conscientiously can make. I'm probably saying that word wrong too, but the idea is you think, okay, it's either kill this person or kill this person. I don't want to kill either one of them.
Right.
But I guess if I kill this one, it's okay. And it's like, no, that was actually the worst decision. You just fucked everybody. It has a lot of shit like that. It has payoff after payoff after curve after curve. A lot of what I hear is kind of what the movie is based around, but this is tangible. This is in your hand. This is you making the decisions.
Yeah.
Another cool aspect to it, and I'm assuming it's the same thing in Wolf of Wall Street, the video game. Man, that'd be a pretty good game. But I see it in the Telltale Batman series, so I'm assuming it's also in the Wolf Among Us, is you don't have an infinite time to make choices.
Right.
They give you a decision, and you can't go, oh, fuck, man, this is weighty. Let me set my controller down and prop my fist under my chin and think about this. Okay, what would happen? No, you got like 30 seconds.
Yeah, all of them are like that.
Yeah, you have 15
the
seconds.
Minecraft ones, and they're the same way.
Yeah. As yet another thing. The idea is if you see blank Telltale, even if you aren't exactly familiar with or intimate with the source material, you can trust that it's going to be made good. They have a wicked fucking awesome way of storytelling in that game. So, I mean, on that note, even if I would recommend the Walking Dead Season 1 as a starter, but if you also are not into The Walking Dead or you don't think that's your cup of tea, but you like Batman, go check the Batman Telltale series out. They take Batman they spin the whole Batman story in a different yet believable and also fits into the Batman universe way, and I like that.
Yeah,
so
and to piggyback on the Walking Dead thing, there's also a mobile game called The Walking Dead Road to Survival. I only started playing it because it gave me, gems in another game if I got so far in it. But I actually kept playing it, and it has those choice thing, the options of, kill this person, save this person, or, kill them, or, exile this person, or something like that. And it does come back and affects the game later on. It's not a super intricate game, but it does have that storytelling from the series with the choices.
That's all game. That's all you need to know. Game is that you're going to get the storytelling and good choices. I hope you make good choices. Chris, have you think about your head before on any other good hotel choices for people?
Man. I haven't played the Game of Thrones one yet, but I have it. I wanted to wait till I was finished watching it before I played it, and I just haven't gone back to it yet now that I've watched it. Even though, like you said, that's really not a requirement for it, because it's usually not based on the same timeline or main story. It'll have some characters that overlap, but it'll often be something completely unrelated. But I still wanted to wait. They have so many games now. I don't know.
Well, either way, I'm pretty sure if you play any of these, if you check out any of these, you're going to have your mind blown. I was trying to think of another one off the top of my head. I knew there was a big one I was forgetting, and Game of Thrones is one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't want to spend all night rambling about Game of Thrones, but that's another series that that's a little different though. I've watched Game of Thrones, and if you do like Game of Thrones, and you like or you are drawn to the appeal of Game of Thrones to you, or one of the appeals of Game of Thrones to you is you like those, what the fuck's gonna happen? Oh my shit, this went sideways really quick. Imagine having a game where you make those choices. If that doesn't entice you, I don't know what else can. But that's what you get when you play these Telltale games. So reeling this all the way back to my week, pulling this all the way back to where I started this shit. Yes, I am currently watching through up to their current episodes of Batman, the Telltale game. I'm pretty sure it has an actual subtitle.
Batman, the Enemy Within.
Batman, the Enemy Within. Yes. So, those are the things that I was watching. Not much in the theaters for me to go see. I think if it's not next week, but the week after, Black Panther finally comes out in theaters. So I will be taking a trip to my local preferred theater and checking that out. Which, on that note, also, Chris, I think we just need to give up the game podcast and start doing movie podcasts because, now hear me out. If you are up in the upper tiers of media, of movie social media push, like YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, you can just go see movies like incredibly early. I kept seeing all over my Facebook all these world premieres and all these screenings of Black Panther like 3 or 4 days ago. This, as we're making this recording today, the movie doesn't even come out for 2 weeks. So, Holy shit. There's advanced screenings, there's screenings, and I'm like, okay, I understand that happens. They want to tease the movie out to the rich or the actual Hollywood cadre or whatever. Oh no, there's YouTube subscribers that got to go see this. Their companies, their social media, high profile people that just get invited to and get to go see this movie like over 2 weeks in advance. Holy shit. So, yeah, that's actually pretty cool. I try my best to stay internet dark on this shit. Mm-hmm. And the moment that I started seeing all these world premieres of Black Panther announced, I was like, turning shit off. I was not going to this site for 2 weeks, not going here for 2 weeks, scrolling past the news feed shit, blocking you. Because, man, we're in the internet age, brother. It don't take nothing. It's nothing for people to go, oh, yeah, did you know the fucking, this scene in Black Panther where he kills his mom? Oh, God. And you're like, what the fuck? The movie is not even out yet. I don't even have a way where I couldn't have been spoiled on that. It's something I've been picking up over the past couple years, is trying to stay the fuck away from social media, specifically when movies come out. Games as well, depending on the game. But yeah, I will be checking out Black Panther when it comes out. I have high hopes for it. And so my wife and I were at dinner a couple nights ago, and I don't know where, I just got this big ass shit-eating grin on my face. She's like, what are you thinking about? I was like, Avengers comes out this year. She was like, you forgot? I was like, I kind of did. And time, like, this whole month kind of blew past me, and I almost forgot that Infinity War comes out this year.
Mm-hmm.
That needs to continue to happen for me until that movie gets released. Otherwise, I'm going to keep thinking about it and keep spurring myself on. So that's it for movies. As far as general bullshit, sometime this week, I did celebrate my birthday, my 36th birthday. Happy birthday to me. Hooray. My dad asked me again this year. He's been asking me every year for the past, 5 years, you feel older yet? No, I don't. He should know. I have the genes of his side of the family, so I age like George Clooney. So
I was actually talking to my niece about this not too long ago, but I don't feel as old as people looked and acted when I was younger.
Yes.
If I looked at, someone that was 30,
yes.
I'm like, man, they've had it rough. And then I look at, myself or other people that I grew up with, same age group, and it's like, we don't look anything like they did. We don't act anything like they did.
Yes.
I feel like we haven't had the life sucked out of us to the extent that they did.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't feel 30.
You're not alone. I felt the same exact way. I look at older pictures of my mom and dad. I can recall when my mom and dad were 35, 36.
Mm-hmm.
And no, they didn't look old. I mean, technically by today's standards, they don't look old for the age they are anyway, but they looked older than what I feel I look.
Mm-hmm.
And I see that around. Like, I look back at generations past. Like, I specifically look at generations that were around my parents' age and beyond. I don't look at 32-year-olds. That would be pointless. But it seems like people got older faster back then.
Yeah.
I'm completely pulling this out of my ass. I'm sure there's 500 people that are going to send us comments going, well, no, my parents look like they're 12 and they're 38. I know it happens. We have a couple friends ourselves that look dangerously younger than what they actually are. I get that it happens. But when I look at myself, not looking at finances, not looking at shit that I've done, not looking at the fact that I've been physically working, I will be coming up on a physical 20-year mark of working. I don't physically look like I think I should. I feel like I should be looking older, but I don't. I look like I'm in my mid-20s, and I'm a decade older than that.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird. Not fit. I'm not muscular or anything, but I don't look like I'm gonna retire in 3 years.
Yeah.
Which technically I will be in about 5. That's fucking crazy. So yeah, that I celebrated birthdays. Chris, what do you personally have any traditions, any mainstays, anything particular that you tend to do every year for your birthday?
No.
Any things that you look forward to? Are there any cakes you look for or presents or anything specific, or is every freaking birthday different for you?
No, I mean, it's whatever.
Yeah. I have a couple. My mother, for example, she doesn't make me a cake. She still gets me presents even though I tell them not to. But she doesn't make me a cake, she makes me homemade cookies. That's been my thing for years and years and years and years. I do like cake. As a matter of fact, my wife's stepmother, she is a baker. I have to get the specifics of I don't know if she's schooled, if she's just that damn good. All I know is I've had many of her bakery, her baked goods, specifically our fucking wedding cake she made, and oh my god, which, by the way, I got 2 bites of. That kind of sucked. Well, I mean, you understand it's a wedding. I had a mountain of food around me, and we ate the cake that was there for the pictures, and then we moved on and tried to get something of the 40, 70 something pieces of other food, and then I went on, and then I left. So, but I may start slowly, politely sweetly nudging her to be like, hey, you know, my birthday's coming up. I sure would like another. I don't know, why am I doing the guy from Family Guy? That would be, wedding cake I've never had other than weddings, duh. But it was fucking delicious, and I'd love to have a wedding cake every year for a cake. But I can't think of too many times in my life where I've had like a big birthday like celebration thing. I had it when I was a kid. I had one when I went to Boomtown Casino and did an arcade thing. That was pretty cool.
Yep, I remember that.
Yeah. But I've never had like, hey, somebody behind my back invited like 30 friends to this thing and then coerced me to go there, and the surprise, and there's like mountains of presents and cake and whatever. I've never had that, and I never look forward to it. I have always, pretty much for the last decade of my life, I have worked on my birthday to some degree, some form or another. It was pretty bad a couple years ago because I was working at a place that I mean, it's usually a 9-to-5 job, and I ended up having to stay 5 hours extra. I have never, in the history of working there, had to work overtime, period. And just so happened, on my birthday, I had to work 5 hours over. Crazy stuff. That's okay. Wife took care of me. We celebrated my birthday another day. Life moved on. No big deal. That's usually how my birthdays are. Like, oh, my birthday is today, but I'm actually going to celebrate it days from now. And usually on my birthday, it's going to sound so sad, but because I don't plan to do anything, and because nobody like does the surprise bullshit for me, it's usually no different than any other day off. With the exception of, I will pull the "it's my birthday" card on my wife all day long. Hey, baby, can you go get this? No, that birthday? Oh, okay. What do you want? I want
doesn't
this.
She do that to you?
I mean, yeah.
Does she? Is she one of the ones that does? Oh, it's my birthday week.
If she wanted to, I would let her, but she usually saves it for her birthday.
Okay.
She is nowhere near as needy or asky as I am. On my birthday, I'm like, nah, fuck no. Today, I wish to be pampered today. Today, I do want to feel like a king. And it's nothing big. I mean, I may ask her to get me some food, or I'll pick somewhere where I want to go eat. That's usually what I do, is just find some place I want to eat. The thing that I did this year that I tried to get her to understand is I finally came to this is where the decision-making in my marriage was coming to a fault. My wife, I love her to death, but she does not make decisions. That's fine. I can understand that. Decisions suck, and sometimes you make the wrong ones, but she doesn't like to make them. You give her 2 decisions, she goes, I don't know, and she will, I don't know, till you make a decision. Usually it's me making the decisions in the household for various things. What are we going to eat? What are we going to do? What are we going to see? What do you want? Etc.
I know that feeling.
To the point of when I am out with another group of people, be it work, social gatherings, whatever, and it comes to, let's say, dinner time. Hey, where do y'all want to eat? We'll go eat. Oh, go ask Michael. Now, fuck no, don't ask me. Oh, come on. Nope. Nuh-uh. I do not make the decisions when I'm out with friends and or family. I don't do it anymore. I pass the buck. I will make a point, an issue of it. It's like, I'm not making a choice. I have to make the choices every single day, either at work or with my wife. You guys can get your heads together and figure out where you want to go eat. I can eat anywhere. It's fine. But for my birthday this year, I was trying to play that card back on her, and it wasn't working. So the conversation was, hey, baby, where do you want to go eat for your birthday? I don't feel like picking. I shouldn't have to pick. It is my birthday. You pick. So the answer was, it doesn't work that way. It's your birthday. You have to pick. And I go, no. It is my birthday. Therefore, I don't have to pick. And you have to pick for me. No, you have to pick where you want to eat for your birthday. And it just went back and forth. I was like, damn it, I have to pick something on my birthday. I still got to do something. So,
oh, boo-hoo.
Yeah, I know. Complainer is I. So I went and had some sushi. It was a pretty good night. But all in all, my birthdays are, even on the 3 times off I could think of, I'm just so fucking lazy and boring, and nobody really cares what I do for my birthday. I just sit here at the house and I play games or do something that I do any other day off, and I just don't do a damn thing. And I, reply to 50, 60 Facebook notifications saying, "Hey, happy birthday." I did get some gifts. I got some gifts early because my wife and I had went shopping at local stores all over the coast a few days prior, and we both bought stuff. She got stuff and I got stuff, so some of this stuff was kind of from her birthday, kind of not, whatever. And then a couple days later, my birthday did come around. Again, as out of the blue, just as out of the blue as my big ass grin about Infinity War came across my face, she just goes, "Do you want to go to GameStop and get your Switch?" I was like, I had already had all this shit worked out. Just how I was handling the finances of buying this Switch. There was gonna be a particular time I was gonna buy it, some way that I was gonna shuffle some money around, save a little bit here and there. Had it all worked out. And she just throws out the fucking Joker card. Just bam! You want to just go get it? And I'm like, no, I'm the financier of the house. I'm the responsible one. I know this, I know that. Mario Odyssey. Yeah, no, I just can't. I need to stick to this payment plan thing, because if I play this, you want to play Mario Odyssey. And if I just do this way, it'll be okay. And yeah, I think we're gonna go to GameStop. So yeah, I went to the local GameStop and picked myself up a new copy of Mario Odyssey and a new copy of Snipper Clips, and bought a brand spanking new Nintendo Switch, the red and blue kind. If anybody's that curious, I want to take a minute to talk about this experience though.
All
right. Before that, I would kind of like to make an end-of-time cast statement. Chris, do you have a problem with GameStop?
Not really.
Me neither. I think the end of time endorses GameStop. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. I buy shit at GameStop all the time. It's primarily where I go to buy anything video game related. Now, if I go to any of the other local department stores around me, or any electronic stores, and we're specifically talking about physical consoles or physical copies of games. Now half of my library exists on Steam, so typically my new games are bought online. That's the end of that story. But if I'm buying a console or a physical hard copy of a game, usually I go to GameStop, and I will shop other places. I'll shop all my normal online and offline places, my brick and mortar stores all the way around. Really, just for availability and pricing, GameStop is there. I don't know what to tell people. I know I get how GameStop can be bad. I get that it kills a lot of parts of the industry, but the way that I combat that is, now that I'm older and I can actually afford to, I try my best to buy newer games as often as I can. So, there's that. So I'm at GameStop. I already knew what I was going for. I already had the 2 games I was going to go for in my mind. I wanted to check some accessories real quick to see if there's anything else I wanted to buy or needed to buy. There wasn't. So I said, hey, I want a brand new Switch, I want a new copy of Odyssey, and I want a new copy of Snipper Clips. Let's get this going. And the sales pitch this guy tried to give me, I'll never forget. He goes and grabs the games ahead of time. He's like, I'm going to go ahead and grab those games for you while you're still looking around. Well, I'll have them ready for you. It's like, hey, good idea. Goes and gets the games. We're done. We go up to the counter. And I'm like, I would like one new Nintendo Switch. He's like, cool. Just out of curiosity, you have any new ones, used ones? He said, yeah. I was like, how much? What's the price difference? He said, it's only $20. And, I mean, you really just, I was like, fuck it. I'll pay $20 and get a new console. No problem. He pulls down the Switch. And then he pulls down an extra set of Joy-Cons. And he says, the great thing about you getting a Nintendo Switch with the red and blue controllers is that, and only for this console, if you get the extra pair of Joy-Cons, they will also be blue and red, and they will match. So you will have 2 sets of matching Joy-Cons. I was like, well, that's cool to know. He sets the Switch on the counter and sets the controllers on the counter. Mind you, Chris, extra Joy-Cons are $80, something after tax.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So he's talking to me about the protection plan and if I want to add the disc scratch protection and blah, blah, blah to the disc. And I was like, no, thank you. Hey, those are extra Joy-Cons, right? They don't come with the console? He goes, no. I was like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need those. And then he puts them back on the hanger. And so moving on. So he's going through is there anything would you like? He pulls down one of these, his compadre pulls down a classic controller. Is like, hey man, you're gonna get those Joy-Cons home and not gonna like them. I know I didn't like them. You might want to pick up this $50-something classic controller. I was like, you know what? Let me go home and play with the Switch for a couple days, see how I like them, and if I don't, sure, I'll pick up a classic controller. I love classic controllers. That sale didn't go. He was like, they got this stand over here that will charge your Joy-Cons on the side. You don't have to hook them up to the thing. And I'm like, yeah, but the Joy-Cons have like a 20-hour battery life if your Switch is docked. So even in my best marathons, I'm not known for playing 20 hours straight. So I'm probably not going to need that. Just knocking down all these sales ideas. So in the end, we purchased those things. I did end up getting a screen protector, which I was going to buy one online any damn way.
Yeah.
And we left. I got in the car, and I was like, baby, you mean to tell me this motherfucker just trying to slick sell me on some fucking $85 controllers, and his sales pitch is, because you're getting this Switch, if you get these, they'll match colors. She was like, yeah. I was like, wow, that's almost as bad as me being 17 years old and the Marine recruiter calling me and going, oh, your name's Michael? My name's Michael too. We're going to get along great whenever you sign up. I was like, that's not the way life works, buddy. I'm not going to sign my fucking life away to the Marines because your name is Michael and mine is too. And I'm not dropping $85 on a pair of extra fucking Joy-Cons just because the colors will match. Oh, man. I feel for those guys at GameStop. I really do.
Yeah.
I feel for the pushes they have to do. I let them go through their spiel as much as I can. I try to cut them off as politely as I can. No, I'm not interested in a new title. No, I'm not interested in pre-ordering. No, I don't need the scratch protection. I know they have to go through it. Mm-hmm. I also, not just for GameStop, but for other places I go shopping at, I usually take these surveys and take them home and do them because, shit, yeah, I'd love to just have a $500 gift card to GameStop pop in my mailbox. That'd be awesome. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, that was a fun time. So I got the Switch home, hooked it up, and my wife and I played Snipper Clips for a few hours. We played through the first, 2 entire sets of the game. Very fun game. Before I get into Mario Odyssey, I will say that I'm still, no, you know what? Fuck it. Played Mario Odyssey the next night. And I made a Facebook page. I made a Facebook post because I apparently am getting too old. I had this fucking Switch hooked up. I had a brand new video game console with a brand new game that I eagerly want to play right the fuck in front of me. And I'm online looking at, it wasn't just what I posted, it's all kind of shit. I was looking at Amazon for fucking decorating ideas for our house. I was looking up new pet care, just ways to build new cages for our pet rabbits. I was looking up different tips on how to pressure wash my house now that I have a pressure washer and all this stuff. And it came to a point where I went, what the fuck am I doing? I am off. I do not have to work. I have no fucking responsibilities today. I've had every chore in our house was completed. I had nothing to do but eat and shit and play video games. And I was online looking up fucking grown-ass man bullshit. So I had to stop and go, play the fucking game, dude. And it wasn't just that, Chris. I don't know if you're this way as well, but I tend to push the thing that I want to do the most further back. kind of because I want to take my time, and I know it's going to end eventually. I don't know if that makes any sense.
I also know that, once I get going on what I'm doing on, a game or something, I'm not going to want to stop.
Precisely.
I'm going to want to see it through, so I want to make sure I have time. Yeah, I've been doing that, since I moved. It's like, well, I could play a game, but I have this stuff around our apartment that needs to be done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I started playing Super Mario Odyssey, and I enjoy it. So far, I've made it through the first zone, and I'm holding off initial takes on this. I'll tell you right now, I'm enjoying it. It's what the fuck it's supposed to be, folks. It's a Mario game. It's on a new console. Holy shit, that's all you need to know. If you need to be sold on Mario in 2018, you have other things that need to be worked on. Mario sells itself. Mario, Zelda, fucking maybe even Donkey Kong Country, I guess. Those should sell themselves. You should be able to see those titles and go, those are must play. The problem with me is I have seen through reviews, through like Let's Plays. I haven't watched entire Let's Plays of Mario Odyssey, but I've seen like 2 or 3 episodes because I wanted to see the gameplay. I've basically seen the entirety of that first area done, so I kind of knew. I think I got maybe moons. I think I got like maybe 9, 10, 11 moons, and I knew how to get like half of them. I just knew what they were. Spoiler warnings, I guess, for Mario Odyssey. Like, I knew that the 8-bit area was there. I knew the T-Rex was there, and you could take over the T-Rex. I knew that there were chain chomps in the area, and you could take those over, and that's how you got puzzles. I knew half of what to do, so I did that, and then discovered the other ones on my own. And I do see, Chris, what people are talking about with this game, how it has that Zelda mentality where it's, I know I need to go this way, but there's a moon over there, and I know I can get to it. Oh, there's a moon over there. I know I can get to it. There's a moon. That was me that whole time. As soon as I think I got like 2 or 3 moons before I beat that first area's boss. And it was like, hey, you got the powered up moon thing. You should go to the thing and move to the next level. I didn't. I just kept going around exploring and jumping and trying new things. So, definitely has my interest. I can see myself going into levels, be it 15 moons to get past or 400 moons, and just being lost. Just going and fucking around. Another thing I did like is that game gives you tips that if you didn't know how to do these tricks to this game, they teach you. And from what I hear, even all the tips and tricks in the game, they don't teach you everything. So that's pretty cool. It seems like it leaves a lot of experimentation with this Cappy system they have.
Yeah, that's where I was talking about before, how I had watched a speed run. So I had seen the, mechanics with the hat and able to do certain things to get places you perhaps aren't supposed to be able to yet, or in a way you're not supposed to and stuff. So I had an advantage there, and it made a huge difference. Right.
So, from the exploration of the game to the experimentation of the game to the fact that it's just a fucking Mario game, the fact that it's an open world Mario game, I can already tell that I'm gonna be digging this a lot. I also like the fact that the fact that it's moon based like this. I can totally just pick this up, go grab 2 or 3 moons, and then quit if I want to.
Yeah.
Or I can pick it up and spend fucking 9 hours and get 75 moons and then quit. So it's up my alley. I'm interested in it. I'm gonna keep playing it. I may be able to get some gameplay in tonight before I have to go to sleep, but editing and life and etc. I had a good 3 days off, thankfully. I only spent a little bit of time with Mario. But again, it also goes to me like trying to fucking milk this for everything it's worth. I'm not trying to just blow the game out like I did with Zelda. I'm going to take my time and I'm going to enjoy it.
Yeah, did you notice that when you look at the map, you can go left or something and then see a list of moons that are in the level.
No, I didn't even.
There, if you look in the menu, I can't remember exactly where it is because it's been now a month or so since I played it.
Mm-hmm.
But it won't show you like the name of the moon, but it'll have a numbered list. And if you've gotten the hint from the parrot or whatever it is that's randomly around, it'll show the name of it
Nice.
after that point. But before that, it won't show the name until you have collected it.
Mm-hmm.
But that way you know how many are in an area and how many you still have to go.
That's good. That's good. Good to know. Because when I got the first, 5 or 6 moons, I was like, well, that's got to be it. Those are the obvious ones right in front of me. And then I got another one, and another one, and another. Because there wasn't, get this of this. I just kept getting them, and they just kept adding to the count.
Yeah.
I do have one question for you, Chris, if you know
Okay.
it. The purple coins in Mario Odyssey,
Yes.
do they do anything?
I believe their purpose is only to purchase stuff in the shop.
Okay.
So you
Even
get
that's
I believe there's moons in the shop that cost the coins. Or
Gotcha.
costume items you need for other moons in the level, stuff like that.
got you. Because I made it a fucking point to grab 40 out of 40 in that first area.
Mm-hmm.
3 eluded me for a long time until again, the more you explore, just like any exploration style game, the more shit comes open to you. A couple quick notes about the Switch itself. I do play it docked for obvious reasons. The Switch does come with a comfort controller.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically, it looks like the controlling the charging dock, but it's in your hand.
Yep.
Which I believe the charging dock as well puts in your hand. It's a way to charge it. Either way, it makes it kind of sort of like a classic controller, just narrowed together. I played that way for probably about 15 minutes, and I said, no, I like having the Joy-Cons in my hand. And I always saw and heard stories of people that are like, yeah, man, I'm on my couch, and I've got my left hand back behind my head, and my right hand's fucking hanging over the side of the couch, and I'm playing that way. And as a person who has, I know this is a small fucking detail, but it's still fucking cool to me, for a person and to this day, even when given the option to play with a fucking mouse and keyboard, I have a controller in my hand, and have predominantly been playing with a fixed controller with my hands together for 30-something years. I like the ability to just fucking put my hands anywhere. I can be totally fucking lazy. I'll just be splayed out in this chair, and I'm still playing this game. It's actually a pretty cool comfort. My hesitation, and this is where Nintendo is going to either blow my mind over the next year or two, or they're going to disappoint me. For me, this was a $300 console. $300 is not $500 or $600 like they used to be back in the day, but still, it's $300 fucking dollars. I've already played Breath of the Wild. I've already maxed that game out in my own mindset. I've already put over 500 something hours total into that game, so I will not be buying that for the Switch. I have Odyssey, I have Snipper Clips, just because it's a fun game. Me and my wife can play it together. Mm-hmm. But even that game, I mean, once her and I make it through all those puzzles, I'm pretty sure that game's going to be done.
Yeah, I don't think that one's worth it. Isn't it $60 as well?
It's 29. It's like $30.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
It might have gone down from when I looked at it. Or I was looking at something else, but
there was a digital download code for 20, and I got the physical copy for 30. Yeah.
Okay.
And it was also the updated version. Sorry, I just went through puberty over the headset, over the microphone. But I think it's maybe it has more levels in it. It's not the actual Snipper Clips. It's like the 2.0 version, whatever.
Yeah, they've updated it.
Yeah, but either way, I feel that this is a typical game, kind of like, and I don't want to say Plants vs. Zombies, because that does have some variation. But whenever you this is one of those games that once you beat all the puzzles, you're pretty much done.
Yeah.
Looking out at the landscape of what's out now, of course, the console is still baby new. And then looking out at what's coming up just in this year, not really worried, just I'm not feeling what's coming out so much. I'm waiting for the Metroid Prime 4. I may get Tropical Freeze, but I already have Tropical Freeze. I'm not gonna buy Doom again. The big appeal right now, the big draw for the Switch right now, today, as of this recording, is people are clamoring to get things ported to the Switch because the portability of these games, one, and two, the updates and little additions and quality of life things that they're doing for these games when they're being ported to the Switch has drawn some appeal. People want, like, yeah, port everything. You port it all to the Switch. That's fine. I get that, and I'm all down for that. But Nintendo, exclusives. I need Star Fox. I need Zelda. I need Mario. I need Donkey Kong. And I mean, I'm getting most of those. I guess the only one I haven't heard anything about yet is Star Fox. But, oh man, I just don't know. I need some reasons for me to have wanted this console so bad.
Yeah.
Zelda would have done it. Zelda would have, if I would have only bought this console and only got Zelda, price met. I said the same thing when I bought my Wii U. Yes, I've got like maybe 8 games for the Wii U. Buying Breath of the Wild was enough for me. No problem. Now I've got Mario. We'll see how that pans out, but that's only one game. I don't want this to be... I'm saying this on the large scale of I don't want the Switch to be another Wii. I don't want it to be... I definitely don't want it to be a Wii U. I want it to be a console that has a fucking host of Nintendo awesome fucking laundry list of library good games. That's what I want. I need that. I need 1 or 2 solid good Kirby games. I need a Star Fox game. I'm hoping Metroid Prime 4 is going to be great. And the list goes on. So we'll see. We'll see as time goes on. Right now, there's nothing out or coming out that is making me just burn a hole in my wallet. We'll see. It's still new. I'm not going to be that fucking itchy about a brand new console. But if, a year down the road and there's still nothing, my library has gone up 2 games. Whew, that's going to be bad. I really hope that they didn't fucking blow their load in 2017. That's what I'm getting at. Also, what's been burning a lot of my energy this last week was playing Dark Souls 3. I made mention last week that I was starting to play Neo and then respectfully went back to Dark Souls 3 because I did not finish it. It didn't take me too long to get back into Dark Souls 3, and I'm all up in it. Having said that, every other game that I was also working on has been put on a hold right now. Cuphead I'm still working on, but that's on hold. Valkyria Chronicles have been put on an indefinite hold. Persona 5, I've been trying to get back to that, but Dark Souls 3 has really been taking my time up. I may pick up Persona 5 again. I said 3, I think. I think I said 3. Fuck. Either way, I may go back to Persona 5 whenever Dark Souls 3 is finished. We shall see. But again, I'm either halfway through or close to the end of that first area of Persona 5, and it's not blowing my mind. It's just what it is, folks. The game's okay, but it's not. I don't feel like, for me, it's not 50. Not saying the quality of the game doesn't show 50. For me, it was not I shouldn't have went out and bought this one when I did so far. We'll see what the latter part of this first area is like. We'll see what it's like when more shit gets opened up. We'll see. But Dark Souls 3 is definitely taking my time up, and oh man, it's just, I have plowed through fucking area after area and boss after boss, and I love it. I don't know why I love getting my ass kicked, but I actually do know why I love getting my ass kicked, because I can get in and I can learn, and it's skill-based, and I fucking love it. It takes a little to... There's 2 games that really takes little to nothing for me to get into lately. I can pick up a Katamari Damacy game and just fucking just go ape shit stupid happy in no time. I can go from 0 to just super excited with that. And then the same thing with Dark Souls. I can pick up any one of these Dark Souls and just fucking love it. Only story I have as of recent was... So I was at this area, I think it's a cathedral area. Spoilers for Dark Souls 3, potentially? It's not really. If you know Dark Souls games, you know that they, especially with 2 and 3, they come with DLC. Actually, all of them come with DLC. And typically, they are accessed in the game somewhere, and you either know how to do it, or you don't, and you just stumble in. Well, I didn't know where this fucking DLC was, and I just stumbled in. I was talking to this NPC, and he was like, hey, you should check this thing out. And I checked the thing out, and I got sucked in through a fucking portal and landed in this new fucking area. And I was like, where the fuck am I? What the fuck is this? Oh shit, this fucking area was hard. Extremely hard. The only thing that curbed the difficulty initially was immediately when I got sucked in through this portal, I was like, where the fuck am I going? Because in any Dark Souls game or any Metroid style game where you are basically, there's branching paths all throughout this game. And you're like, okay, there was a left and a right, I took a right. Now I'm on a left, a right, and a middle. Okay, I'm gonna take a left. Okay, I've got a mental track of what the fuck I'm doing. There's a left, right, again, I'm gonna take the right, a left, right again, I'm gonna take a right again, and then boom, I got sucked in through a portal. And I was like, I need to go back. I need to go back and continue to see what the other areas was like. Because when I get back here, I'm not gonna remember where the fuck I did or did not go. I'm gonna have to relearn that area all over again. But also, I was like, oh shit, where the fuck am I? What's happening to me? And then within probably about 5 minutes, I found a bonfire. I was like, oh, thank God. But that place was rough. Extremely rough. They were long. I have mixed feelings about it. There are ways that Dark Souls handles difficulty, and one of the ways that I don't like, that's kind of lazy to me, while still challenging, I don't prefer it, is let's just throw a shit ton of monsters at you. It just enemy spam you. And this had a couple areas like that with extremely long runs without a bonfire. For those of you who don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about, in Dark Souls, you go from safe zone to safe zone and get killed in between a lot. And the safe zones are marked by bonfires. You have a way to heal yourself, and those heals have a set amount. So you have like 10 times you can heal yourself. When those 10 run out, you're just fucked. The only way to heal yourself again is to either die or make your way back to a bonfire and basically recharge your healing ability, or make it to the next bonfire. This DLC area had, good God, extremely difficult and challenging enemies, and it was a lot of them in between the like 2 or 3 bonfires it had. It was very challenging. New monsters to learn, of course, new bosses to fight, and new strategies to learn. But yeah, I walked away. I have not beaten the boss of that, for anybody wondering, because I know people go, oh, you beat that bitch, did you? No, I did not beat that bitch. I'm gonna come back and I will beat her later once maybe I've got some more stuff around me. I'm sure there's strategies and whatnot, but I'm not a fan of looking up strats on how to beat bosses in Dark Souls. I want to do it on my own. Long story short, it is a 3-phase boss. I didn't know that until about 2 hours later fighting this fucking person. Because it took me 20, 30 minutes the first time to kill her. Once I killed her, a fucking second phase happened, and I was like, oh, great, this is fucking Ornstein and Smough all over again from Dark Souls 1. And then I kept dying and dying and dying, and then got up out of my seat when I was like, yes, I beat this one! And then phase 3 started. I said, oh, fuck. Well, so I'll get back to that part. I'm continuing on with the main story. I could not tell you how far I'm in this game because I don't know. Everything's blind to me, and I'm working my way through it, and I'm having fun. That has been my week. A lot of Dark Souls 3, a brand new Switch. I think I'm done. Chris, how was your week?
It was actually pretty good. I actually got to do stuff other than, carry boxes around and furniture around and put furniture together and all this stuff. Not to say there wasn't any of that, because I've spent the last 2 days unloading stuff from the pod I previously talked about shipping out. So I've been doing that, but in the meantime, I have watched and played stuff. So I've been on a D&D kick. Since we started playing, I went back and I've been watching the Achievement Hunter D&D series they have. I'm almost finished with it. 2 years worth of episodes. been kind of binge watching that when I'm not playing stuff, or at least when I'm playing and streaming. When I'm streaming, I don't watch, but when I was playing offline, I would watch at the same time.
This is just for clarity. This is them.
Yeah.
This is a group of people on the game. The basically game achievement people playing D&D.
It's the achievement hunters playing D&D. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Tabletop format, cameras, mics, yada
Yes.
yada yada. Okay.
Yes.
Because this sounds interesting to me.
Yeah, they're not doing like I was talking about how you do the Roll20 and stuff like some other channels I watch do.
Mm-hmm.
They actually have one of the tables with a screen with a grid on it and stuff, and the DM controls it from a little tablet he has.
Wow.
So he can do the map and stuff as he wants, and they put figures on it and whatnot, miniatures.
Dude, that's
And all
cool.
that. So yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch, and it's been helping my creativity because we're still playing D&D ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We played this past weekend, and it wasn't a big thing. It was just a little short session because I hadn't really planned because of all the moving stuff. But it's always interesting because the oldest, he's determined. He plays a rogue. I mentioned that last time, but he's determined to get right up in the face of the enemies, and he can't be doing that. He went down almost immediately, and he was taunting this guy and stuff. And the boss was actually bound, so he couldn't hit anybody, and he kept failing his breaking free rolls.
Oh man.
So he was bound, and we were just wailing on him. But of course, he runs up, decides to swing his sword at him, misses, and then the boss goes next and one-shots him, and he falls to the ground unconscious. I'm like, oh my god, come on.
Did he learn a lesson?
I don't know. That's kind of... We finished the fight and picked him up, and of course I had the NPC that I control, and that's part of the party, just giving him all kinds of crap about it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the, anybody that knew anything about it was making wisecracks at his expense. So hopefully that helped, kind of enforce that lesson to, you're a squishy rogue. And he even, I made a point of the NPC buying a bow at the city they were in before they left, so that they would be ranged. And, he got that hint and bought himself a bow as well. So he then had a ranged attack because he could only throw daggers before that. So it's like, all right, let's get some ranged damage because one of the reasons they lost the fight early on was there was no ranged damage.
Mm-hmm.
And the enemies had range, so they just shot them and took them all down before they got in, hitting range. But so it was fun and hopefully a learning experience. I've already started working on the next area, so to speak, and the next encounters I have planned. And I'm really enjoying it now, just the whole planning aspect. When you sent me the message earlier that you were ready to start, the reason I didn't see the message on my phone was because my phone was set off to the side, and I was going through the player's handbook and the DM guide and stuff, building characters and setting up on a piece of graph paper the layout of keep and stuff that they're about to go to. So I was zoned. I had zoned everything out, and I was focused on what I was doing.
Completely understandable. I'd also remind you that sometime in the near future, you and I need to do that. I was saying that the bio. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
We'll say that as a surprise for the audience someday in the future. But
yeah, we also. So I mentioned before that there is a Pokemon D&D already set up with rules and stuff called Pokemon Tabletop Adventure, and we played that as well. And I think it is certainly interesting and could be enjoyable, but it doesn't seem balanced.
Which is sad to say because Pokemon's fairly fucking balanced.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's just because I kind of need to go back and play the game and look and see how the very early game is, the first 10 minutes of the game, because that's kind of what they were. They went and got their starter Pokemon, and then they were heading out, and they got into their first encounter. And I had rolled randomly to see how many enemy Pokemon there were, and I got 4. Well, we were all playing, so we had 4 characters, so you think, okay, 4v4. But because the enemies went first, they got ambushed, that completely screwed everybody over. And people, their Pokemon essentially got one shot. Mine managed to get in 2 kills.
Wow.
Before getting knocked out. But it was very rough, and like I said, I don't know if it's actually balanced, or if it's imbalanced, or if it's balanced and I just kind of threw too much of them at once. You know, if there were 2 of them, or if they had the ability to call the Pokemon first, because the Pokemon weren't even out yet. So they got attacked, and then by the time they got the Pokemon out, Pokemon got attacked and then went down before even doing anything in some of their cases. So it was very rough, and I'm either maybe going to have to do some tweaking to the move damage or just lower the encounter some. But I don't know. We'll see. I'm more focused on the regular D&D. I'm having a lot more fun with that because, man, that Pokemon D&D is way more complicated than regular D&D.
What?
And yeah. I was like, I don't know, I don't know if I want the youngest to really play regular D&D because it's so complicated, but now this, yeah. I may just end up scrapping it, we'll see. But yeah, so I that was the weekend, and again today, working on some planning while watching D&D overall. But on the video game side, I did go back to Horizon Zero Dawn. I've been working on that quite a bit.
Did I mention to you that I have a copy of that now?
Maybe.
Okay, I think if not, I do. I bought that one in, I think, a couple PS3 games. Yeah, it's when I bought Yakuza. That's right.
Yeah.
So I may get into that sometime. But anyway, sorry. Just make sure I let you know that I took your offer.
Yeah. So I'm I don't know what my hours in the game are right now anymore, but I'm up to level 47. I believe it caps at 50. So I've almost capped my level out, and I'm 77% done with the game on the tracker. So the way I was playing before is I was going through and trying to do a lot of side stuff before doing the story missions, as you do. And I'm now thinking that was a bit of a mistake because I started doing the main missions, the story missions, and man, it's so good. The story actually makes sense. You start learning about these robots, where they came from, what happened before, why is the world like this, and it is well done and interesting.
Well, I'm glad that you're saying this because you remember that was my hang-up, was that I made it probably an hour into the story and went, not bad. If you're telling me it gets better, good.
Yeah, once you get into the lore behind it, and I was kind of doing the thing where you pick up the little piece of intel or whatever, if it was something that it wasn't a voice attached to it or recording, I would kind of skim a couple parts of it and then close it because I didn't care. But now that whenever I'm in a story mission area, and there's tons of them at that point, I'm actually reading through them because they give so much information. On top of the voice recordings and the main actual character interactions and story stuff. So yeah, this is definitely a game where do the story missions at least periodically, and don't push them off too long, because I was admittedly getting a little bored with the game because I was like, all right, I'm going to kill some robots, okay, killing some more robots, okay, getting these collectibles, blah blah blah, okay, I'm just kind of grinding it out. But another thing that helped is I've almost maxed out the skill tree. I only have 2 more things to unlock. Actually, it might just be 1 now. But yeah, once all those things are unlocked, it's, again, so much more enjoyable because you have all these options. You're stronger when you're running from area to area. I recently unlocked the last stealth perk, which lets you sprint and make less noise. So that, makes it easier to go from area to area, not draw attention. Yeah, so overall, I'm enjoying it more. I was hoping to play some more today and actually see if I could finish the story, but I was busy with apartment stuff, so I didn't get to. But that's my goal probably for this weekend, is to finish up that game completely.
Nice.
I have done all the side stuff now as far as collectibles. Well, I'll say most of it. There's a couple I don't know if I can unlock until I progress the story some more. But as far as like, and I still have to do the hunter things. But as far as viewpoints, the mugs, the little metal flowers, and then the little deer horse things, I have all those done. Everything that shows up as a collectible on the collectible tracker thing.
Nice.
So yeah, so now I just need to go through and I'm working on the side quests, and then I'll do more of the main storyline. But aside from that, I did start playing Monster Hunter World.
Oh, yes. Completely forgot that you had that.
Yeah. So I only played about 2 to 3 hours of it.
Okay.
When I played it. The initial tutorial type thing takes roughly 30 minutes to go through, and that was, watching all the dialogue or listening to all the dialogue and all the, cutscenes and stuff. And it's not a straight up tutorial, it's kind of an intro thing. So it's not like you were talking about where they just keep spamming you with, tutorial stuff. I don't think that's near as bad in this one. It will pop up with the tutorial thing, but then you can immediately close it, and it doesn't force you to go through menus. I want to say at all. There may be one or two where they force you to hit this and that, but after that, as soon as they pop up, you can close them. The character customization is not as in-depth as I expected, because I had heard people, I spent an hour customizing my character, before I even got into the game. I don't know how. There aren't near enough options for that. So I don't know what was going on there. But you do have this little cat companion thing, and you can customize it as well. Even fewer options. It's a cat. I mean, come on. But getting into the actual gameplay, I'm going to throw this out here now. I don't know if Monster Hunter is a game for me.
Okay.
I feel like there's just something not clicking for me. The game looks okay. One of my first notes I took on the game was the funny, awkward climbing. So in the intro, you have to climb up this wall a couple times, and that is one of the worst animations I have ever seen.
Wow.
It is just I don't even know how to describe it. It's super fast, but kind of moving all over the place instead of just, like a straight climb up. It's like, all over to the left and then the right and moving up really, really fast. And it's like the speed of the animation doesn't match up with the speed of the climb.
Oh, I gotcha.
So it's like, all right, move up one handhold, but I've moved 16 times and moving up that one handhold.
Jesus.
It's not a good animation loop. And it's a very short loop, I think, is also part of the problem. So you've got 3 frames in the loop, and then it repeats 10 times in 1 second. So it's just, I don't know. Another thing I did not like that I noticed at the very beginning is that the character is completely silent.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And it's not one of those where it's well done and covered up.
Mm-hmm.
It's that awkward, oh, hey, I'm going to sit here and talk to you, and you just kind of nod or, something like that. It's not, I don't know. It's not done well.
Yeah.
But for the actual gameplay, I need to go in and see if what options there are for mapping the controller.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't done that because I didn't go back and play it again yet.
Mm-hmm.
But once I do play again, I'm going to go in and look at the options, because the default options are a little awkward because you have to press like triangle to swipe at it after pulling out your weapon, which you can pull out your weapon with R2 or triangle. But then if you hit R2, it does something else. So I just wanted to keep tapping R2 to hit. But I don't know. The mapping is a little wonky, so I'm hoping I can change that. I would imagine so, but I haven't looked to try yet. I also think one of my problems with this is I have not played multiplayer.
Yeah.
I only played by myself. I didn't even try to join any other groups, because I wanted to get familiar with the game and whatnot. I don't know if it's normal for the Monster Hunter games, but I feel like my weapon progression is super slow. I get that you have to get the materials and whatnot, but I don't feel like I'm even given the opportunity to get the materials. I think so. There are your normal missions you go on, and they're timed, with like an hour.
Right.
But once you complete it, it only gives you a minute, and then it kicks you out.
Yeah.
So for the first hour and a half, I was kind of annoyed because I wanted to complete the mission and then explore some more.
Mm-hmm.
But I finally, probably in the last 30 minutes I played, unlocked what are called expeditions, which actually let you go out and do whatever you want.
Right.
Until you come back.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I think it has a time limit as well, but you don't have specific goals or anything. But it's like an hour, so it's fine.
Yeah.
And expeditions will let you complete these other sub-quest objective type things. So that was nice. I was able to actually go out. I was able to kill things I wanted, farm some things I wanted. But I don't even know what I need for my next upgrades, because they're hidden behind question marks, because I haven't found the items. So it's not, until you have the item, you don't know what it's used for.
Right.
It's not like you have this recipe that goes, oh, you need this bone from this creature. It's just question marks, and then you get the bone, and you're like, oh, I can use that over here. So I'm still also trying to figure out what style of weapon I want to use. I started out with the 2 daggers type things, because I know I'm going to use dodge for my defense. I wasn't worried about the shield and blocking and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the daggers are nice. They just don't do enough damage, I think, to help balance out the lack of defense, because I equipped the big, Buster Sword category of weapon, and it felt much faster, even though the weapon swings, slow as molasses. I still felt like it was overall faster than the daggers, and that's at the same upgrade level.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like maybe the game's a little too slow for me, and that it doesn't give you more opportunities to upgrade. I don't know. I need to go more through this story and see what I unlock, because what I like to do is do a story mission and then, whatever that unlocks, complete that, and then move on. But maybe this is like a Horizon Zero Dawn thing where I just need to go through the story and then do everything else.
Yeah.
And then get it done with so I can just move on. But I don't know. The trailer for the game showed you using this, hook thing to swing around and all that. you have a hook thing. I've yet to use it, and I think I've seen like one spot where I could. I don't know. You have every hunter has this crossbow looking thing on their left arm,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I'm assuming was from the trailer. But so far, all it's been able to do for me, and I haven't even tried this until like right before I was turning the game off. I actually hit a different trigger, and it pulled up, the reticle for the crossbow thing, but I had no way to switch ammo. So and I don't know if this is accurate or not. I still need to go again through the controls and see what my options are.
Mm-hmm.
But it seemed like my option for the crossbow thing was the last thing I picked up for it. Because I noticed that when I was picking up certain items, I would drop other ones that I was holding in that spot. So that's kind of annoying that you can't store these ammunition types, even if it's a few of each, to make that crossbow thing useful.
Well, what I would say is that there's nothing to be ashamed of course. Like, don't ever feel bad. I'm kind of glad that this is working this way for you. And of course, I hope this gets better. I hope you enjoy the game. I hope one or two or several things come around and just blow your mind and make you go, oh man, I'm into it now. But this is kind of the way that I feel about Persona 5 at the moment. Like, I can respectfully look at it and go, yes, I can see many reasons why people would like this. I can acknowledge things that deserve acknowledgement in the game, but it's just not clicking for me in some great way. I'm going through it, and that's not what I'm wanting out of it, if that makes any sense. Like, I guess because it's such a high-touted RPG, because it comes from this lineage, etc. Mm-hmm. The similarity between Persona 5 and Monster Hunter World is that both of these games are new 8th generation console versions of these games that have a long history, with Persona, of course, having a much longer history. But either way,
right,
both of these games, when they're viewed from people who have been there with this series from the get-go, they can meticulously point out their flaws, and they can wholeheartedly praise their changes and additions. Whereas you and I, like, you have played Monster Hunter barely, and I haven't played Persona at all. We're both taking these games for what they are. And that's just there's not much more pure you can get than that with these games, where neither one of these two are, they're spiritual successors, so to speak, but they're not sequentially, they're not sequential sequels.
Right.
Like, apparently you having not played the other Monster Hunters means dick to you playing this game. It's not going to affect you. It's not going to hurt you. It's not going to you're not going to have that scope and that vision, but you're not missing out on a story. And apparently the same thing for me with Persona. There's a lot of, and I can see them now, even this early in the game, I can see a lot of these areas where I can go, okay, this is something that's probably in the series. This is a sequence or an event or a gimmick or a theme or something that I can just tell the way it's engineered. This is in here because it's always in all these games. But not to the degree where me having not played the games prior is affecting me. And we can both take these games at face value. As far as me, I've at least made the resolution to make it past these two, not two, but make it past this first area. Let the bulk of this game get open. Let me play around with some of the things after I've beaten this first big castle, this first palace area, and see what it's like. And I'm sorry, Chris, or anybody else that's curious, even though I paid the full retail price for this game, if I've gotten past this first palace and put somewhere around 10 to 15 hours into it and I'm not feeling it, I won't play it. I do not make it a point to play games just because I paid the money for it. Now, does that mean that I got burned? Yeah, but I've been doing this shit for 30 years. I've been burned all over the place. This shit happens. What I did do was see this game at face value from what it was touted from other people, from all the reviews, from everybody shaking their hand at it going, you've got to play this game. I took that and I tried it out. And whether I paid $60 or $5 for it, if I don't like it, I just won't play it. I may turn it in. I may trade it. I wish you and I lived close together because I would love that if we both had this same thought about these games at the end of the day. I'd love to trade these two. Like you play P5 and I'll play Monster Hunter. We'll see how we feel. Yeah. But who knows? Again, just keep going, man. Definitely try the online stuff. Apparently that's a huge facet that I missed out on that game when I played the prior Monster Hunters, and I can get the appeal. You know, if you're going after a monster or several monsters, it's more fun to do it with people because it takes some of the load off of you. There's a sense of adventure. There's you're new to this game? Shoot, I've been playing this since beta. Here's some things you need to know. It's all that stuff. So maybe that will help. And maybe the more you play it, the more familiar you'll get with the tactics and abilities and weapon upgrades and all this shit. And maybe it'll open up for you. Once the game finally opens up, you'll enjoy it. Yeah. If you don't, hey, shit happens, man. There's lots of other games out there for us to play if it's not. I genuinely hope it's not, though. I hope whatever it is will come around and you'll like the game.
One thing I actually didn't write down and forgot about was when I first booted up the game, it gave me options because I have a PS4 Pro. It was like, do you want a better frame rate? Do you want better... And it was kind of funny in the wording. You had to actually look at the subtext under it, but it's like, do you want better graphics? Or do you want clearer graphics?
Mm-hmm.
Or something. It was something like that. It was. There were two options that you would both think was just going to both make it look better, but there was actually a difference between what it was doing graphically. Yeah, so it actually gave you options of what you wanted the PS4 Pro to do for you, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's the first game so far that has had that option for me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I don't know if I have anything else to say about the game. Right now, based on what I played for Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate on the DS and what I've seen played of other ones, what little bit that is, I'm not seeing a huge difference in the game between the old one and the new one. Sure, it's a graphical upgrade, but aside from that, I'd be curious to actually see a breakdown that someone did of what the difference is between the last Monster Hunter game and this one.
I can guide you to just that thing, Chris. There is a video you can look up on YouTube. It's an IGN video, and while not knowing the exact words right now without looking up, it's something like 47 Monster Hunter World changes that only veterans would pick up on, or something like that. It's a breakdown of at least 47 things where they went, okay, this is an upgrade, this is an upgrade, this is different, this is different. And this is something that I have picked up on, and maybe if I had the game and played it, I could also shed some personal light on it, but I've heard from many, many sources that for people that have played the old Monster Hunter games, there are several changes and specifically quality of life upgrades in this game, and that's something I'm looking forward to. I feel that was one holdback for me from playing Monster Hunter Tri, is that, again, coming from Dark Souls, I can see how the shit that they did was archaic. How it took 3 steps to do something when really it should only take 1. It's the typical Nintendo thing that I'm always used to seeing. It's like you guys are like 2 or 3 steps behind what's been done before. I don't need to pull up 5 menus. Just give me 1 button to switch the item. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what Monster Hunter World has done. They've listened to feedback from both veterans and from people that have tried the game and said no, and they've made these changes better. Now again, you being somebody that's only played a little bit of it, they're not all going to be wide open to you, especially if you haven't like played it recently. And even it's been a couple years since I played Try, but yeah, there were many, many things where I saw where it's just, oh man, this is just, it's so clunky and slow, and why is it this way? It should be this way. So hopefully they have addressed those. But you can check out that video for yourself. It's I don't know if it's anything spoilery. They may have something in there to tell you if there's anything spoiler in it at all, but it's something like 47 things in Monster Hunter World that veterans will love or veterans appreciate or something like that.
Yeah, I made a note of it, so I'll go take a look at that. I don't think I'm going to touch Monster Hunter World again until I finish Horizon Zero Dawn.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I'm like 78%, 77% done with Horizon Zero Dawn, so it should be pretty quick for me to wrap it up. I mean, yesterday alone, I probably knocked out 15, 20%.
Yeah.
Just pushing through things all day long.
That's the same way with me. I'm going to make it through. I'm going to finish out Dark Souls 3. I mean, whether or not I 100% complete it or not that's neither here nor there. I'm going to beat it and be done with it and feel like I'm done with it before I move on to the next thing. Now, what I'm going to work on next, I don't know. I have a shit ton of games in my Steam library now that I could fucking cotton pick from and play. I've got Yakuza 0. I've still got to go through P5 and at least give it its due proper.
Right.
I've got Yakuza 0. I've got Horizon Zero Dawn. I've got 3D Dot Game Heroes is another PS3 game I've got. I've got Ni no Kuni, which is a long time overdue. I've got The Last of Us that maybe I should keep going through. I have the entire Uncharted library now because I have Uncharted Remastered, and I've got Uncharted 4 and the Lost Legacy, or whatever the last one was. I am blessed and cursed with the typical thing. I've got too many games.
Yep.
But I've also got a Nintendo Switch. I've also got Mario Odyssey. So my money's probably going to go on Mario Odyssey, but we'll see. We'll see. For right now, it's Dark Souls. And that's it.
Yeah, I think Dark Souls 3 and Odyssey are a good, combination to be playing at once.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get fed up in Dark Souls, so you go hop around.
Yes.
Mushroom
That's exactly
Kingdom.
how I felt. That is
I guess
literally
not the Mushroom Kingdom this time. But...
Yeah, that is exactly how I felt, though. I had just come off a stint from playing Dark Souls 3, and I was fucking off online for a couple hours looking at weird adult shit. That almost sounded racy. It wasn't.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, it's pressure washers, but I guess you could. Oh God, everything I'm saying is bad. But yeah, once I picked up, I mean, the music, the colors, everything. This is one thing that I have noticed about me in games. Two things that mesh really well together. 3, I guess, technically. If you put them together, I'm just a fucking little kid. I'm just a sucker for it. Is bright colors and very, very, very bright color schemes and snappy jazz type music. There is a ton of that in Mario Odyssey, and there's a ton of it in Katamari Damacy as well. Both of those games are bright, colorful, and they have a lot of little snazzy, fun, just fucking easy, fun, breezy, hell yeah jazz tunes. I like that. That's fucking crazy.
They're good chill games.
Yes, they're pick up and play and chill games. That's the way. And that's what I'm looking forward to having with Odyssey, is it being something to where, I can pick up 5 years from now and not feel like it's just the weight of everything on me. It's just, just go get some shit, man. Go get some moons. It's okay. Anything else for your week, Chris?
So the last thing for my week, and this is a pretty good segue into the news segment, because I actually kind of consider it a news thing as well. Have you seen the God of War, A Call from the Wilds thing on Facebook?
I have not. The only thing I've seen is the new trailer.
Okay, so what this is this is actually a game played on Facebook Messenger.
Okay.
It is a old school type text-based game where you type go east, go north, pick up this, look at this, putting in your text commands, and it, like I said, it's played through Messenger, and it is what I done the description in front of me, but the post I saw, it was one of the promoted posts or something like that from PlayStation. They said, hey, this isn't what's the kid's name? Arcturus, something like that. Turris. But it's not, this isn't, his first adventure. See, what happened to him in the woods, before the setting of the game or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you start out, you're playing as the kid. It starts out, you are in a cabin. You hear your mom outside or something like that. And you can look around the cabin and pick up items and do things, interact with stuff. And it has a kind of progression to it where there are certain events that they expect you to find and complete. And their whole, promotion thing is, aside from getting to play this and getting this little bit of lore, is you actually get 8 pictures, high-def pictures you can download.
Okay.
That are exclusive to that, or if you have the link to them. But yeah, so I played through it. It was probably a 30-minute thing, but it was definitely interesting. I enjoyed it. There were actually 2 combat sequences where I had to pick what I did, and I don't know what happens if you die or lose because I didn't, or if you even can. You know, maybe it's like, oh well, blah blah blah, and you just keep going.
Yeah. But
it is very interesting, and I would not have expected to see something like this played on Facebook Messenger.
Wow. Okay.
It was certainly interesting. It was a good piece of promotion, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because I haven't been watching trailers, not since, the E3 one, because I was watching E3.
Yeah.
Once I see a trailer and I'm like, all right, that's a game I'm probably going to play, I don't keep watching news about it unless it's a particular reason for me to do so, related to release date or something like that. So yeah, pretty solid promotion by them.
Nice. Speaking of promotions, before we run into news, I will take a small minute to promote a fellow local channel, a local group of friends of mine on their YouTube channel, the Never Ready Gamers. They invited me over to their house. They were playing Gauntlet, I believe the PS4 Gauntlet game, and just usual fucking let's play hijinks, having a good time, chit chatting and having a romp through a game. And they were kind enough to invite me over and just sit around and play with them and chit chat. And they have their own YouTube channel. I was kind of in the videos here and there. Haven't seen any of those uploaded yet. I'm sure they're on the way, but they were nice enough to let me promote the End of Time cast in their video, and I figured I'd go ahead and shoot them an equal, respectful, hell yeah promotion. You can go check them out at Never Ready Gamers. They got a few good videos out. They went through Mario Odyssey, I believe, and they're running through Gauntlet now, and they have some D&D, tabletop, other type games too as well, so check them out. Pretty cool stuff. News. What news do you have for us this week, Chris?
So, Destiny 2 released their development roadmap for this roughly quarter, I guess you can say.
Mm-hmm.
It's dated yesterday, and it covers their last update, which was, I don't know if it's this week or last week, but it covers out to May. And it's interesting because I haven't been playing the game. I just kind of got burned out on it because I haven't felt like doing the raid at all. But it does look like they've made some interesting changes. One of the ones that they already implemented was the mod system. I talked about a little bit before. You could add these mods to your weapons, but they really didn't do anything. But they were working on making that system better with the Masterwork system. But apparently they also added some raid-specific mods. So when you're in the raid, you do more damage in certain things, and they're actually really useful. It's like, based on this condition, it's a 20-25% damage boost or something like that. So once you have them, you see a clear difference. And that's kind of one of the issues Destiny has had in the past is, okay, I got this upgrade, I don't feel any stronger.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently these actually feel like they're doing something. But I was looking through it, and one of the other things they're doing that's good is that they're making further changes to make it to where you're less likely to get a duplicate exotic, which is something that people struggle with. Oh, sure, I've got this same exotic 20 times in a row, but I'm still missing 10 of them. So it's kind of frustrating to constantly get what I already have when there's such a huge pool to choose from.
Mm-hmm.
They're adding... actually, I think the last Iron Banner was 6v6 as well. They actually specifically have it listed for March. They're doing a 6v6 Iron Banner, which, for those that don't know, Destiny 2 changed PvP from 6v6 to 4v4.
Okay, what's your thoughts on that?
I'm not a huge fan. I like 6v6 more. I think it gives more flexibility in what you can do as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Because when there's only 4 of you, you pretty much have to be clustered together, or you're screwed. Because the other team's going to cluster together and team shot you.
Mm-hmm.
But having 6 gives you that flexibility to have your clustered group, maybe even the that core 4, doing their damage on the main area, and then you can have 2 off, doing objective-based things, sniping somewhere else, or just covering a different angle just to, keep people going, corral them where you want them to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the flexibility of 6v6 more. 4v4 hasn't been bad what I played of it, and I did play a fair bit of Crucible. It just feels a little bit more forced than 6v6 does.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I'm really happy to see that's on this list is Crucible quitter penalties. It is so annoying.
Even if I don't know what the fuck that means, you said quitter penalties. I'm interested.
Yep, Crucible's PvP. So it's not unusual to go into a match, you start losing, half your team quits out. And when you're doing 4v4, you can't afford to be missing a person.
Right.
6v6 was bad enough, but you could still, carry 1 or 2 bad people. No, you lose. I've had several matches where it went down to where it was 4 versus me. Because I, to this day, have never quit out of a Crucible match. That's my thing. I never will quit out of a game.
Mm-hmm.
I've lagged out, yes. Bad connection, it happens. But I've yet to purposely quit out of a game for any reason. Didn't matter if it was 30-1 and I was just getting trounced. I'm going to play the match.
Yeah.
So seeing these penalties added, so good, so happy about it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I hope they're balanced enough penalties, and I hope that they are working based on the way it's worded. Quitter, I'm assuming that already takes into account, disconnects and stuff, so you're not penalized for that.
Right.
Though, of course, you're going to have the people that pull their cord out to disconnect or something like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But maybe they'll have
there's got to be a check and balance.
For that.
Yeah, there's got to be the point of this shit is that to catch the repeat offenders.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that was brought up on, I'd have to look up the number, but Two Best Friends talked about this a couple years ago in one of their podcast episodes, and I agree 100%. Anytime that I hear any of this shit where companies they're just a red blanket of flame across the board, I'm all down for it. Because that's one of the first telltale arguments of this shit, is that, well, what if I genuinely disconnect and then I'm banned from the game for 30 minutes? Me? Yeah. I'm just going to take that on the chin. That shit happens. Because I know that doesn't happen for me often, if ever at all. So the one time it happens, oh boy, it's not like I don't have other games to play. And I know I'm tailoring this to me specifically, but I'm talking about me specifically. This is going after the people who repeatedly disconnect, repeatedly quit, and just have a trend of, I look in here and see that you were in the game for 20 minutes and you were down fucking 26 points and you quit. This has happened like 4 times today. That's the person that needs to get fucking burnt. Bad.
Yeah, and this may be a kind of unpopular thing to say, but if your connection is so bad that you keep disconnecting from matches, I have no pity for you.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't be playing Crucible. Go play PvE. You know, you can play that with a terrible connection. That's what I did at one point. I was having, issues with my internet. There was no way I was going to be able to stay in a PvP lobby. I couldn't even get into really a PvE lobby with other people.
Yeah.
I was just by myself in these areas where I know there's going to be other people because, the weekly things have to be done in this area. So I know there's people playing here.
Yeah.
But I didn't see any because my connection was so bad, it could, I guess, barely keep me in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, if you have a bad internet connection like that, PvP isn't the place to go.
Yeah.
In relation to PvP, something else that's interesting is they have it out in May, which is when Season 3 starts. They're doing this whole season thing as well. But in Season 3, they're implementing seasonal Crucible rankings. So there'll actually be some sort of ranking for Crucible. Which will be interesting to see how they calculate it, because there are already websites dedicated to looking at your stats and ranking you based on win-loss, KDA, KD, all these other formulas. You can look at leaderboards already based on platform. So I'm curious if they'll just follow suit and basically emulate what these third parties have done already, or if there will be an actual, ranking system like Halo used to have, with theirs were military ranks,
right,
going up as you progress, or a silver, diamond, platinum type ranking, whatever they go with. So it'll be interesting to see how they do that and what, if it matters. I'm assuming it won't matter in any way, but which I hope it doesn't as well.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see. They're also adding private matches for Crucible, which is something Destiny 1 did near the end of its life. Or actually, I'd say the last year of Destiny 1, they added in private matches. So people could go do their, play with their friends on both sides and whatnot and get past the fire team limitation when you're doing matchmaking. Or just screw around on maps. Let's see. I don't know. I don't think there's a whole lot of other things that I either don't know about what they actually, entail at this point, or they're just kind of quality of life changes that don't really matter all that much. Yeah. But it's interesting that I do like that the crew over there have been releasing the roadmap. It gives the players a lot more insight into what's going on and what's coming and when.
Yeah.
That was a big thing before. It was like, okay, well, you say you're going to make these changes, but here we are, the next update, nothing. And some things get pushed, that happens, but it's just give us some expectation of when we'll see this.
Right.
So I have 3 different Nintendo-related articles that I found interesting.
Yes.
The first one
was a Labo.
Is no, I did see an article, but I didn't even read it because I don't really care. There is apparently going to be a Super Mario movie.
I did see something about that.
Yeah,
and live action.
No,
it's not. Okay, good. Thank God.
No, this is they've partnered with Illumination, which I didn't know. I didn't recognize that name at all. But they're the studio that did Despicable Me and Minions.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be an animated.
Okay,
movie.
Well, that's just the animation studio. Okay, I can deal with that. Who the fuck's writing this? That's what I want to know. The writer,
so it's being co-produced by Shigeru Miyamoto.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, he works on, Mario, Zelda, and Star Fox.
The father of Nintendo, some would say, yes.
Yeah. And Chris Meledandri, who produced Despicable Me and Ice Age and other animated stuff.
Okay. Well, it has... Okay. Yeah. It has potential.
Yeah. I mean, at least it's not live action.
Yeah, it's not live action. It's being animated, thank God. And they're not just handing it off to somebody and saying good luck. They're having Shigeru motherfucking Miyamoto right there doing a fucking Kojima. You know, no. If there's one thing that Miyamoto's good for, it's getting hawking. He's good at being over your shoulder and going, no. This needs to be this way. Now, that may be bad. You can shit on that idea all you want until you play Mario games and go, oh, okay, cool. They're good. If he has that mentality toward this Mario movie, maybe it'll be good. Yeah. And if it is, maybe we could start seeing the renaissance of video game movies being good. Maybe companies will get around to the idea of maybe we should do these animated. Holy shit, yeah. There are companies that have put movies out in animation form that have been fucking great. Warcraft, the movie, while maybe not the greatest movie of all time, looked fucking good. The CG in that looked fucking great. Final Fantasy Advent Children, again, not the greatest movie, not even the greatest fan service movie, but the animation was fucking great. Final Fantasy 15, the newest fucking 15 movie, the animated movie that came out. The graphics were great. You can make video game movies with animation. It's fine. I don't care what the fuck it looks like. I want it to be a good movie.
Imagine this. Imagine a animated movie created by Blizzard.
Oh wow. Man. Good. Yes. Yes. And if anybody, who the fuck hasn't, but if you don't know, go look up, I don't know, any trailer for any World of Warcraft expansion. They are
StarCraft.
Blizzard. Yeah, exactly. Any of the three StarCraft trailers. I'm going through puberty today, Chris. Apparently at 36, I'm hitting my third puberty. But look up it, but just any Blizzard CGI film, and that will sell you on it. They can, not only can they animate, but they can direct, and they can write, and they can sound engineer. They can do it all. Yep. So you put it in front of them to make a full CG movie of something, yeah, down for it.
That'd be awesome.
Now, again, it's kind of already been done. Warcraft, the movie, was already done. I think that could have been done better. Wasn't horrible. Chris, have you seen the Warcraft movie?
I have not.
Okay. It wasn't horrible. My wife and I both seen it together. We were both entertained. But one, the fact that her and I have not played World of Warcraft, the fact that I have only played Warcraft 3, I've never played 1 or 2. Yeah. I took it at face value as a movie, and again, the CG in it is, but I give it like about a fucking 6 out of 10, 7 out of 10. It wasn't horrible. What are the news? You said 3 articles. That was one. That was pretty good.
Yep. So there's also an article, and this is new to me, but apparently there's a Nintendo online service coming out in September.
Yes, this was talked about last year, roughly after the Switch's release. It was a big to-do. There were 2 big negative to-dos about the Switch. One was that they were making an online pay service, which I don't think Nintendo's ever done, so people were hesitant about that news. And also the chat thing being ran through a proprietary Nintendo phone app and all that shit. So,
yeah. I mean, and really, I'm looking at this and it says it's $20 a year.
Yeah,
which is way better than the other, Xbox and PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
But you also get access to classic NES games.
Mm-hmm.
So, sure, I'll pay $20 a year. Whatever these games are.
Yeah,
I'm sure it'll be great. I don't know. I mean, there's not a whole lot mentioned about it. I don't think there's a whole lot known about it yet.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see what they do with it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what it all entails and what the necessity of it is even going to be, because if I'm not mistaken, people can play games online on Nintendo consoles as it is already.
Yeah.
So, like, you can go play Mario Kart online if you wanted to. So, I don't know. I haven't looked into it I really haven't looked into it at all because I don't need another internet service. But I guess as a good podcast guy, I should look it up and see. But yes, there's a Nintendo internet service coming.
Yeah, and this popped up in the news again because they announced the September date.
Right.
The third article is that they're going to be selling the NES Classic again.
Yes, they are. This is great. This is great news because, one, they had a huge fucking demand the first time this rolled around, and many people did not get to have one. So they're going, yeah, well, sorry about that. We're going to release them again, as which they should. Furthermore, they should do the same thing with Super Nintendo if they have stopped selling it, or they just don't stop selling it. Same thing for a 64 one. They just go down the line. Just go ahead and go down the line.
Yeah, so that was, those are really the only articles that jumped out at me when I was skimming through today.
Gotcha.
There's one I'm going to go back and read. I didn't read it, so I don't have anything to talk about on it, but it's titled 5 Reasons Why Monster Hunter World May Not Be Right for You.
I'd say hold off on that one before you delve yourself into more negativity.
Yeah.
Before we started the weeks, you said there was something you wanted to talk about, and I said save it to the end. Do you remember what that was?
Just the news.
Oh, that was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well then, I'm digging my brain too because I think I've gotten worse and worse about not writing shit down, and I'm sure there was something else that I'd seen across my desk in the gaming world. But no, just checking out new games coming out. I hear Dragon Ball Fighter Z is doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. That's good to know. I will pick up a copy sometime eventually. But yeah, nothing too grand going on right now, with the exception of Monster Hunter World and Dragon Ball Fighter Z being released.
I do have one more piece of news for you I think you'll like.
Okay.
I had some cream soda this last week.
Oh, you're kicking it back old school. Was it Bart's root beer cream soda?
It was A&W.
Oh, okay. That's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. I drank A&W root beer, or mug root beer, and I was grabbing some A&W root beer, so I grabbed the cream soda that was next to it.
Was A&W what we had? I thought it was Bart's root beer.
We probably had some off-brand, really.
We may have, yeah, but yeah. Sorry, Chris and I are not sitting in a corner with our fucking arms around each other, giggling and like looking back at you guys and gals, going, y'all don't get it. Chris and I grew up together. I mean, we're brothers, so to speak, and we as old men now, we can talk about being young men and spending $5 at a gas station and walking away with like a bag full of fucking candy. I mean, like a small bag, but full of fucking candy. And I remember many, many days sitting around playing Sega Genesis, popping cartridges in and out, playing games, and 1, eating candy, and 2, drinking cream sodas. Root beer cream sodas. Fuck yeah. Good times.
Yep.
Today, Chris, it's a list day. I love list days. Today, we're going to do a top 10 list. Oh, no. We are doing our individual top 10 Nintendo 64 games. Chris, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I don't mind we did 10. We're sticking with 10. We're not going to fucking change it now, but I could have did 15. I short-sold myself on 10. I probably could have went 15. But what I'm going to do whenever I get to I'm going to do the typical top 10 list thing. Before I give my number one, I'm going to go over some honorable mentions because there are quite a few good games on this 64 console that I didn't remember until I went back over the list, and yeah, good shit. So the way that we're going to do this, guys and gals, I want to go over this again with you, how we're going to do this list. Okay. We're obviously going to stop at number 10, start at number 10, and work our way up. Yes. And I think the way we did it is that if the game is, if I say a game and it's also on your list, we're just going to talk about it, and we're only going to talk about it once, unless the game is in the top 3. Was that correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
So there you go, folks. Just I had to remind myself too, because I was like, man, what if my number 1 is in his number 4? Oh shit. So
yeah, and the way we did last time is we didn't reveal what was in our top 3. There wasn't like, oh well, this is my top 2 game, but I'll talk about it more. It was I didn't say a word until I got to that point. I was like, hey, this is my number 2.
Right. So we are individually going to start listing off and talking about our top 10 Nintendo 64 games and our personal individual top 10 favoritism. From 10 being the least favorite to 1 being the most favorite. If I talk about a title, let's say my number 10 title, and it is his number 6 title, then we'll just talk about it together, and that will be it. But if my number 10 is his number 1, I'm going to talk about it, and then he's going to talk about it again. So you may hear some doubles in here, but that's okay, because if it's a top 3 game, it deserves its equal opportunity. I mean, it deserves to be talked about both ways.
And this is going to be an interesting list, because as I was making mine, I was like, I bet 5 out of the 10 are going to be the same.
Oh yeah,
this is at least 5.
The thing with I'm gonna just get this right in my head. For the Nintendo 64, probably the Sega Dreamcast. What's another one? Maybe even like the Wii or the GameCube. The fact that they have a relatively small, not minuscule like, say, the Sega CD, but the fact that they have a small library, the duplicates are going to happen. It's just going to happen. And especially if they're Nintendo consoles, because Chris and I both know there are going to be some Marios and Zeldas and Metroids in there, so
yeah. And for those wondering, the Nintendo 64 library is 388 games.
Wow. Now, is that just US, or is that US and Japan?
That includes
combined?
Japan as well.
That's all the way around the horn. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. I say relatively small. The NES library was 700, 800, 900 something. Same thing with I believe the Super Nintendo, etc. So yeah. So, for no particular reason, I think last time I went first. I guess you can go first, Chris. So here goes, and again, just so we're clear, because we will have end of time cast lists coming up in the near future. This is Chris's list, and this is my list. So it's not the official end of time cast list. No, it's not that difficult, thank God. We will have some lists coming up that are our list. We have deliberated and talked about and debated over live on the podcast. Those are coming. You're going to get to hear us squabble about it if that's your thing. But that's not what these lists are. These typical top console lists are just our personals. They're our personal opinions. They're nothing subjective. Chris and I don't fucking look over sales numbers and none of that bullshit. It's what Chris likes to play and what I like to play in our order of preference. So, Chris, your number 10 Nintendo 64 game.
All right. My number 10 game is everyone's favorite dinosaur hunter, Turok.
Oh, God, I thought you were about to say Star Fox. I was like, you fucking Star Fox adventure playing son of a bitch. Okay.
Yeah, so Turok, dinosaur hunter.
Mm-hmm.
As the title says, you killed and hunt dinosaurs. So it's a first-person shooter. This was a God. What was the release date on the 64? Because I feel like this was an early one.
You can't be quizzing me live on the podcast, Chris. You can't do that. You act like I have a memory. It's not my place to have a memory.
So North America was September 29th, 1996.
And no, I still do not feel old.
So Turok was in the first 6 months or so of the system. So yeah, it was fairly early on. It was it was just an interesting game to play. You had some collectibles you could get in levels, but overall you're going around trying to find pieces of a relic, and you had to find it in the level, but there were other collectibles too, I believe. Yeah, I mean, it was an FPS killing dinosaurs game. I didn't play it a lot. I don't even think I owned it. Well, I know I didn't own it. So, real quick, I did not own a Nintendo 64 until I believe it was after I graduated high school. As an adult, I bought a 64. Okay. But most of my 64 playing was at friends' houses. So, some of my games, I'm only going to have a little bit of gameplay, to go on, but I enjoyed what little I played with it, or stuck in my mind for one reason or another.
Mm-hmm.
And Turok's one of those.
That's what a lot of it was with me too. Was that my initial 64 playthroughs were at someone's house, and not only was I playing games like I was playing their games, I was predominantly playing games with them, like Mario Kart, like Star Fox,
mm-hmm.
like GoldenEye, Perfect Dark, etc., etc. So yeah, I feel you. Hey, I have 4 controller ports to it, guys. So yeah, it was all about multiplayer.
Yeah, and I don't know, was Turok even multiplayer?
I don't.
No, it was not.
Believe it was. No.
Yeah, so that's another reason I didn't play a whole lot of it, was because it was single player only. And for this, like you said, 64 was known for its multiplayer, so you kind of, if you're playing at a friend's house, can only take up so much time on a single player game.
Yeah.
This game, one thing I will say about it, it did not age well.
Oh no.
It's that old school graphics. It's essentially Doom with dinosaurs.
Yeah. I mean,
kind of what it looks like.
It's already going to suffer for the fact that it's a first-person shooter, and
mm-hmm.
traditionally, over time, FPSs do not age well, period. But yeah, none of the 64s have aged well at all. To the point to where even when I tried to play GoldenEye either last
mm-hmm.
year or year before last, I played it on an emulator. Suck it, I've got everything. But I put it on the emulator, and I mapped my controller, which was an Xbox 360 controller. I mapped the controls of GoldenEye through a third-party mapper. No, sorry, not a third party. I think the N64 emulator lets you put the keys where you want them. But I mapped it as close as an approximation as I could get to a new controller style. And even then, it was... Actually, what had happened was I put the damn game up to 007 difficulty. And once the controls were straight, I was blowing through that game.
Wow.
It was a testament for me back in the day that I had 2 clear save files on GoldenEye 64. And on 00 Agent, and that is not an easy feat when you're, 8, 16, 17, 18 years old. I have 2 of those. I could do it today with one fucking hand, because you age in the first person world, and the control schemes and the setups and the way that you do things, it's nothing like it used to be. You are used to enemies blowing your fucking face off today. Back then, it was, well, let me fucking run and then squat and then aim my gun and then shoot, and then I'll take your health off if I hit you. But then I gotta get back up and I'll wave at you, and then But yeah.
And I haven't played it, but there's actually a remaster that was released in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious to see what updates they did to it.
I have played that. Yes, I have it, and I played through it, and a couple things. It is a upgraded control scheme, yes, because it's on the 360. That's the version I played it on. It replaces the James Bond of Pierce Brosnan and puts in Daniel Craig. That's no big deal. It has a few changes to the story. It has a few changes to the narration, a few gameplay changes. Some of the level changes are different. A lot of them are when you play this game, you're not going to be playing the GoldenEye 64. I'm going to go ahead and say that right now. You're going to be playing somewhat of a spiritual rewrite successor is the best way I can put it. They have a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of Easter eggs, a lot of like familiarities. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Throughout the level, it'll have callbacks to GoldenEye 64 themes, and music, and weapons and whatnot. But it's not just a redesign. It's not just a facelift. It's a redesign, so to speak. I enjoyed it, and it also has a lot of progressive. You know, like the biggest thing for me to do in GoldenEye 64, because this is before achievements, before it was not a collectible style game, was that the more you advance the difficulty, the more quest options became available. Oh, good lord! I was just told to prepare to die. I think Shao Kahn just told me to prepare to die. I should worry. The good thing to do in GoldenEye 64 was if you had it on this difficulty, you had like 3 quests or 3 objectives. If you put it up to the next difficulty, they added like 1 or 2 more. If you had it up to the max difficulty, you had like 7, 8 things to do. And that comes back again in this one. And there's collectibles and all sorts of extra things to do. So, I will warn you that if you're looking for a straight, like a 3D facelift, so to speak, where they just took the game and upgraded the graphics, you're not going to get that. But if you're looking for a good spiritual rewrite successor is the best way I can say it, it's very good. I enjoyed it, had a good time with it.
That's cool. I was also totally talking about a Turok remaster.
Oh, shit. No, okay. Well, my bad. I didn't see the fork in the road, Chris. I'm sorry. I was digging in the back seat for my copy of Turok. That's my problem. I have not played that one. I have heard that was utterly garbage, and I haven't had my own opinion of it yet.
Okay.
I will add some more to Turok, though. While it did not make my list, it is in my honorable mentions because, yes, as cool as that sounds to any fucking 18, 17, 16-year-old kid, you play a first-person shooter where you kill dinosaurs. It was that fun. It did not age. This was, as Chris said, in the early lifespan of the 64. So not only did they not have games that were fully utilizing the console yet, this game did not utilize first-person shooter styles as great as it could have. But it did, if I remember right, Turok had jumping in it, didn't it?
I think so.
I think you could jump in Turok. Correct us in the comments if I'm wrong.
Because there were platforming aspects.
Exactly. There was. That was one thing that this game had that GoldenEye did not, is there was an explorative / platforming aspect to it. And I'm all about that. It took some of the good things of that it had some of the good things that GoldenEye 64 is known for, but it had some extra stuff, like the jumping, like the platforming, like the collectibles. Had a lot of cool weapons, had a lot of cool deaths. There was like a bore weapon that you like shot at an enemy and you would see it like boring into their skin, kinda sorta. You would see blood squirting out until it either flat out killed them or they exploded. I forget which. But yeah. Definitely fun game for as young on the 64 library as it was. It's fun. It's very good. My number 10 for Michael's End of Time Cast Nintendo 64 list is Kirby 64: The Crystal Shards. Now, I will go ahead and throw out one honorable mention right now because I was fighting, really struggling between 2 games for my number 10. It was either going to be Kirby 64 Crystal Shards, or it was going to be, brace yourself, WCW versus NWO Revenge.
Interesting.
The reason why is because, as you mentioned earlier, I was gonna bring this up as a whole entire topic. The 64 for me is one of the few times in life that I can remember a strong multiplayer aspect. The fact that this 64 had 4 controllers, 1, 2, the fact that I was able to play it with local friends that had multiple multiplayer games. It was a time of life for me where almost half of my Nintendo 64 experience was that of playing with people and against people. I remember playing GoldenEye with and against people, Star Fox 64, Perfect Dark, Mario Kart, WCW, NWO Revenge. There was like 2 or 3 wrestling games on the 64, actually. Smash Brothers, Pokemon Stadium. I mean, there was a good handful of multiplayer center games on the 64, and I was lucky enough to get to play that. I make that a point because I've brought this up on other episodes. I didn't get to play a lot of multiplayer games when I was a kid. I didn't grow up in a neighborhood, nor was I popular enough to have friends over. Like, it's one of the reasons why fighting games aren't so prominent in my life, though I love all games. I love fighting games. I'm not good at them because I just didn't have that competitive nature. I didn't have neighborhood friends that I fought against. I didn't grow up on Street Fighter 2, except for me and Chris, and fuck, we didn't really compete. I mean, we kicked each other's ass and threw fireballs and sonic booms, but, I mean, we just fucking played a few matches and then turned it off when we played Sonic 3.
Yeah.
But, I will make an honorable mention to WCW versus NWO Revenge because this is one of those older wrestling games that focused on the Aki engine, which had a lot of customized characters. I believe it lets you customize characters yourself. It had a very, very standard set way of button presses and typical wrestling moves, and I played this with many, many different people, had a lot of good time with it. I mean, that's it. There may have been some single-player campaign to this in some way, shape, or form. There's several, these days. Even sports games have them where, you take a person through life. They go through college in a football, and they join the high school football team. They go through yada, yada, yada. So, but I don't remember that for this game. I remember playing with people, grabbing some wrestling character and playing, like, a battle royale, so to speak, or Royal Rumble style, where there's like 26 something wrestlers coming in the ring and you want to be the last one. So I had a good multiplayer fun with it. I was fighting between that one, but what won out was Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards. I love this game. Had a great time with it. The thing that excited me most about this game that I did not know until I rented it. I played this back in the day before I had word of mouth, of course, before the internet, and I just picked this game up at a rental store because it had Kirby on it. I'm all about Kirby. I'm all about Nintendo. Cool, let's try it out. And I didn't know until I played the game. I didn't even read the back of it. If I read the back, I might have figured it out. But this was one of the games in Kirby's library to where if you don't know about Kirby's power, so to speak, Kirby is a little pink puffball. And he goes around sucking enemies in his mouth. He inhales all types of enemies. And he will squat down and basically morph, so to speak, into that enemy. He will gain that enemy's power. That's it. That's his thing. Suck in an enemy, gain their power. And in Kirby 64, he could take in 2 enemies simultaneously and combine them to get a different power. So he could, and it's been a long time, folks, totally gonna get it wrong, but he could suck in, say, like a wheel-based enemy. And if he did that by itself, he would turn into this wheel that could spin up and then dash across the screen and attack. Whoever he hit would basically die. He could suck in like a spiked style enemy, and when he did that, he could basically turn himself into a porcupine. So if enemy touched him, they died. If he sucked in the wheel and the spike together, he would turn into a rolling spiked enemy that would dash across the screen and basically do the same thing, but have spikes on it and have more damage, I guess. There were, I don't know, 20, 25, 30 something enemies in it. And those were the individual enemies that he'd get powers from. he could combine any two of those that were in the same level together and have a all new power. And I like that. There's a lot of backtracking in that game to where you're trying to you'll see an area where you're like, there's a collectible there, but I can't get to it. I'll go ahead and beat the level. I'll come back to it and figure out how to do it. There's puzzling to it. A lot of puzzle aspects in Kirby games. Admittedly, throughout the ages, Kirby did get a little bit more, I guess you say childish, fairly easier titles down the road. And I have no problem with that. If anything, I'll play them with my wife and have a good time. This was a single player game like most of the older 64, the older Kirby games were. And again, the biggest draw was multiple enemies combining together to have different results. I love that. Good stuff. The only downside to it for me was that while it had a good number of levels, once I basically 100% of the game, I was kind of done. I could go back to it today. It's been a long time since I played that game, so going back through it again would be fun. But for me, it wasn't like a multiple playthrough game. But I do remember having lots of fun the first time playing through, trying out. Like I just couldn't wait to see what new combination of enemies would grant me what ability. Good time. It made my number 10.
All right. My number 9, and I think this might be one you're not expecting, but it was actually 1080 snowboarding.
Oh, very good game. Also on my mentions.
Yeah, so this is, I mean, there's not much you can say about a snowboarding game, but this was a good chill game. It had, your normal races, your trick attacks. You could do multiplayer, so it was a, group-friendly game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just a nice chill game. Yeah, you just race or do tricks, or race and do tricks.
All right, good review, Chris. No, you speak true. This will totally not stealing your spotlight here, but this was one of those games that the friends that I played with had, and I was like, not gonna play a fucking snowboarding game. I don't snowboard. I don't fucking care about snowboarding. But when I had exhausted their library, it got down to this game, and I played it. I was like, this fucking game's fun as shit. I had a really good time playing 1080. I had a good time playing 1080 and Snowboard Kids. You ever played Snowboard Kids?
The name sounds familiar.
It is also a snowboarding. There were 3 that I can think of. There was 1080 Snowboarding, Snowboard Kids 1, and Snowboard Kids 2. Snowboard Kids was, think of a mix between Mario Kart and 1080 with a multiplayer aspect to it. That's what it was. Kiddie style characters, different personalities and whatnot. You race down the mountainside, varying types of raceways, different obstacles, different objectives, and they have power-ups that would speed you up. They would, make you trip up the snowboard in front of you, behind you, etc., etc. They had these games. I tried them both out. I pushed them to the wayside because they were snowboarding games, and then I played them and had lots of fun. So yeah, I'm all down for both of those games. Both of them were really good. I would say that being your number 9 is justified just for it being a surprisingly good game.
Yeah.
Was that it for your? Was 1080? I don't guess you.
Yeah, I mean, and I actually looked, but I don't think this was the one that the arcade things were based off of.
Yeah.
Because there was an arcade snowboarding thing where you actually stood on, a snowboard-shaped platform.
Yeah.
And, it had a little bit of motion control to it.
Yeah. No, that was in the Gold Saucer, Chris. That was Final Fantasy VII. Come on, what's wrong? What's wrong with you?
Yeah. Yeah, this doesn't appear to be the one that the arcade was based off of.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
My number 9, oh boy, can't wait to my number 9 was Blast Corps. I don't know if you've ever played Blast Corps, Chris.
I have no idea what that is.
Wonderful. Let me blow your mind for a minute. So the story of this game, I'm telling you the story of this action style game because the story will make the game play itself make sense. Somewhere in the US, there's a nuclear missile hauling vehicle. It's traveling down a road. It gets hijacked by terrorists.
Okay.
And it is set in a forward driving motion. The steering wheel can't be tampered with. The gas can't be tampered with. You remember the movie Speed?
Mm-hmm.
It's basically Speed, except this truck is moving at 10 miles an hour. The truck continues to go forward in I'm telling you, I'm trying to do this story justice. It's actually a pretty great story because the gameplay revolves around this. The truck is moving 10 miles an hour in a forward-moving trajectory. If it touches anything, if it bumps up against a telephone pole, a car, a mountainside, a vehicle, whatever, the impact will cause the nuke to explode, killing millions. So the president or somebody calls in the Blast Corps, who is a demolitions company that has many different types of vehicles to demolition with. They have bulldozers, they have dump trucks, they have bipedal walking robots that are used to pick things up and move them around, but can punch things and demolition things. They have vehicles that are heavily armored that can basically do like a donut into something and destroy it. The government calls the Blast Corps in to basically clear a path, a solid path for this nuke vehicle to drive through. So the idea is you get into a level, the vehicle is at one end and it's going. It's just driving like 10 miles an hour in a straight path. In your path, there are many things in your way. Mainly buildings. There's structures of all types. There's houses, there's business buildings, restaurant buildings, there's crates, connexes, machinery, all kind of things. And you are tasked with going in front of this vehicle and demolishing everything in its path to make a clear path. And it is fun as fuck, man. It is fucking great. There is a dump truck you use to basically do a side swipe. I think it's actually called a side swipe, where you basically ram the bed of your dump truck into things to break them down. There is a bulldozer that, you just fucking take your blade and you fucking run into things and bulldoze a path. There are cars that are really, really fast and you can ram them into it. To structures, or you can make it fishtail into it. There are things that will jump and let you basically jump and ram into things. There are robots there's one robot that has one arm. It is a gigantic right arm, and you can either punch things or you can do like a rolling start and then roll into an uppercut to destroy buildings. There's another robot that has a jetpack. And you fly up in the air and you do like a flip, and as you basically jet downwards and stomp on buildings. Crazy premise, hilarious, laughable B-movie premise, awesome, fun gameplay. The negative about this game is, thankfully, it doesn't happen until way later. If you're you can pretty much beat this game. I think the second half of the game is going to give you a really big challenge. It gets really tough toward the end. But when you try to 100% this game, I think there are trophies. I think they use like sheriff badges for the visual representation, and there's like bronze, silver, gold, or something like that, or platinum maybe, I don't know. But the hardest difficulty, even on the early levels, they have some very, very tight constraints for time, for amount of damage you need to do, for amount of people you rescue and all that stuff. But that's only if you're trying to do like everything. If you're just playing through the game, you can make it through all the game, and you'll have fun and be very, very challenged later on. So
Right.
the fact that you never played it, I actually played this game about 2 or 3 years ago. It does age it has aged very well. The graphics, no, but we'll talk about the 64.
Yeah.
Very fun game. Have never heard of it being remastered or anything like that. It is a rare game. I'm pretty sure it's a rare game.
It is because it was on the Rare Replay.
Exactly.
I'm going to go play it this week.
There you go. So now you got a game to play. And I recommend it for anybody else, too, if you never played it. It made number 9 on my list. Chris, your number 8, sir.
All right. My number 8 is Pokemon Snap.
Woo! Pokemon Snap made my list at number 5.
Nice. So, before I talk about Pokemon Snap, though, an honorable mention for me, and it's only an honorable mention because I don't know if I ever personally played it, but Pokemon Stadium.
Oh, yes. Yes.
So, Pokemon Stadium was exactly what it sounds like. It was a combat-focused Pokemon game where you just went through these trainers, which were gym leaders or whatever else the Elite Four and whatnot. You could earn these cups, kind of like a Mario Kart where you're competing for the cup. You have to go through the 4 levels or whatever. Similar thing, you have these trainers. You get the cup if you beat them all. What really made this a awesome game is that you could actually load in your Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow Pokemon and use them in the game.
Yes.
That
was
alone,
such an awesome thing, man.
That is amazing. That's awesome. I don't know if I ever actually played it. I may have once at a friend's house, but that's it. But that's the only reason it didn't make my list.
Yeah.
Was because I don't think I ever personally played it, but I love the concept. The gameplay looked good. Yeah.
And not only could you load your Pokemon into this game and put them on a roster and play them, your friends could do it. It was also a multiplayer game, and that was the other draw for me. It was that, hey, multiplayer, for one, if you don't know, Pokemon has a huge multiplayer following. It was actually designed around a multiplayer mindset because if I had the yellow copy of the game, or if I had the blue copy and Chris had the red copy, he would have Pokemon that I wouldn't have, back and forth. So we would have to trade if we wanted to have all of them. Well, this one said, okay, now you can take those Pokemon that you spent all this time going through the games legitimately and raising and getting power-ups and customizing the way that you want them, put them in this game and playing them in 3D. So having your Pokemon like realized in 3D was awesome. And then you get to play with your friends, your family, whoever. Hey, bring your Pokemon in. Let's see who's can beat what. Love that game. Well done. Very well done.
Yep. And there was a sequel that worked with Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal, too.
Yep. They kept going with it, which I think they should have kept going with it.
Yeah. And that's kind of why the reason I put Pokemon Snap on my list is that when they do, and I say Nintendo, but now the Pokemon Company, since they split or whatever, if they would just put good Pokemon games on consoles as opposed to just the 3DS, they could kill it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I mentioned before when we were talking about the Switch, I don't remember what episode it was, but I had actually heard that they're talking about putting out a actual Pokemon RPG game, just like they do on the DS, on the Switch.
Nice.
So we're finally going to have a main series Pokemon game on the Switch.
Finally.
I hope that's not just a rumor. I hope, that's something that's actually finally going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But that aside, they have done some good spin-offs like this, like Pokemon Stadium and Pokemon Snap. And the premise behind Pokemon Snap is it's essentially a rail shooter, but you have a camera instead of a gun.
Mm-hmm.
And your objective is to take pictures of the Pokemon you see in these different levels. There are 7 levels overall, one that's hidden or special or whatever. and each one has its own Pokemon. Not only do you have, you're taking pictures, but as you go through the game, you also unlock items, or you get items to use, such as food, which will draw out Pokemon or stun Pokemon. So if there's a Pikachu over there, hiding in the corner where you can't get a good picture of it, you can lure it out with food or something like that to get a better, higher scoring photo of it.
Mm-hmm.
And there, maybe special things like there's a surfing Pikachu at one point. I can't remember exactly what the mechanics around it were, but you have to use items, I believe, to get the Gyarados to pop out. So it's just a fun little Pokemon game on a console.
Yeah, that whole you have to do things in the game to trigger things, such an appeal, because you would see. I mean, okay, the negatives of this game is that it is short, so to speak, because there's really only like 6-7 areas in the game. But if you just go through the game, you're only going to make it through about 4. Not only do you have to figure out how to unlock the other areas, but there are so many things to unlock. There are so many secrets and hidden things to unlock throughout the levels as they are. Like, there will be Pokemon hiding that you wouldn't even know you had access to unless you did this specific thing with this Pokemon at this time. The pictures that you take are score based. So the better picture you take via it's centered, via it's only that Pokemon at a certain depending on what the Pokemon's doing. Is he just standing there? Is he riding a surfboard? Is he trying to catch a butterfly? Like, whatever the action of it also gives you points. Yep. So you could be trying to take a picture of, say, Pikachu, and you'll get a good Pikachu centered and he's smiling. Cool. You got like 800 points. You do something later, you lure him over to this surfboard with apples. He goes to the surfboard and starts like mock surfing on the surfboard. Well, now you got an action picture. Now you got like 997 points. That's for all the Pokemon basically. I think the other downside is you don't have all 120 Pokemon in Pokemon Snap. There's only like 75 total. But
you
again,
have 63 out of the original 151.
63, yeah. So I got both those numbers wrong. Shoot me in the face. I'm not a Pokemon expert. Fuck me. Doesn't matter. These two negative things don't mean shit, because this game made my number 5 on this list, and it made Chris's number 8, because the game is fun. The game is lots of fun. Has a lot of replay value to it. Not only for trying to go back into the levels and get either areas unlocked or specific scenes unlocked or getting Pokemon stances or whatnot unlocked, but I've gone through this game several times and I love it. I love it. It has the music and the arts, everything about it has just a fun little draw and appeal to it, and I love it. Yep. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Good choice, Chris. My number 8 is Paper Mario. Now, this was a controversial topic for me because, now hear me out, it made my list. It was number 8. This was, if I'm not mistaken, the first touted RPG sequel to Super Mario RPG. Now, I'm not saying that that's what this game is. I'm saying that back in the day when this game came out, with me having little to no experience, having no news outlets or word of mouth, all I heard was Super Mario game, RPG game. With me coming off the fucking hot presses of Mario 64, oh yes, is this a game like it? Is it a sequel? I don't know, but I'm gonna go check it out. It is not. It is not. There is no sequel to Super Mario RPG. That's the long and short of it. There are several RPG full stop, Mario full stop games out there, but there's no sequel to Mario RPG. That's a one-off, and just I want it. We got a Secret of Mana remake coming, Chris. I can only hope.
Yeah.
I can only hope. Anyway, Paper Mario, however, did make my list. It made number 8. Fun fucking game for the 64. It brought a lot of things back that you loved from Mario's RPG, like time hits. It has its own unique charm to it. It's got its own world, its own setup. I can still hear some of the Paper Mario music in my head right now as I'm talking about this. Another one of the great draws of this game is the humor. There was humor in Mario RPG. Yes, there was. Mario RPG had all the span of emotions. Even fucking, like, life crisis when you fight a fucking super hidden boss. But Paper Mario has a lot of charm and humor. I mean, you're playing a Super Mario RPG, and there were bust-out laugh moments in this game. All over the place. Fairly good progressive and leveling system. A lot of power-ups that have new options, a lot of mobility throughout the world as you get new items to let you progress and traverse new areas of the game. Just a lot of charm. A lot of charm in this game. A lot of heart was put into it to not only appeal to the RPG world, but to also appeal to fans of Mario. Like, if you know Mario's universe, you're gonna get all the in-jokes and get a lot of humor in this game, which I think was a solid move for Nintendo to do that, because everybody's played Mario. Almost everybody knows most of what there is to know about Mario, because thankfully there's little to know. It's a very small, yet slightly expansive story that anybody can get into. Mario RPG, good fun, good RPG. Not many RPGs on the 64, folks. So if you're looking for one, this is definitely one of the ones. You should definitely stay away from the other ones. They're not that good. If you see... Okay, let me put it this way. Let's say you're in a video game store and you see Final Fantasy 1 and Terminator 2. You're in another video game store and you see Quest 64 versus Paper Mario. You better go for Paper Mario, because you get that Quest 64 going, I'm going to be that guy that doesn't get a Mario game, and I'm going to be different, and I'm going to go try something that's not Mario. You're fucked. Oh good Lord. Imagine, Chris, how many people, a generation of who knows whatever younger adults were coming, or even kids coming up in the world and had never played an RPG, and they get a 64 and they go, well, this looks like an RPG. Let's try this Quest 64. And they burn their 64. I'm never playing an RPG ever again. RPGs are horrible. Anyway, yeah, Paper Mario made my number 8. Chris, you're number 7.
My number 7 is Killer Instinct Gold.
Oh. Ooh.
Now, this wasn't originally going to make my list. The alternative and an honorable mention for me is Mortal Kombat Trilogy.
Oh, both. That's a good one.
Yeah. The reason it didn't make my list is because, and I opted for Killer Instinct Gold, is because I don't think I played Trilogy on 64.
Mm-hmm.
Because Trilogy was also released for PlayStation, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
So, and I think I played it on PlayStation, so even though it's still a 64 game I could have put on the list, I opted for Killer Instinct Gold mainly because of the nostalgia that I have with it, because this was one of those games I played with friends a ton. Mm-hmm. It's a fighting game. It's based on, it's a port of Killer Instinct 2. It has its own type of combos and quote-unquote fatalities. But this is Killer Instinct the game that is known for the combo breaker?
Yes.
Sound, whatever you call it.
Combo breaker.
Yeah.
Yep, that's Killer Instinct.
Yeah. So it was fun to play. I always got trounced in it, but it was one of those, just hanging out with your friends, enjoying a multiplayer game, taking turns on it, when there are more than two of us there.
Mm-hmm.
Overall, I mean, it was decent. I do think overall Mortal Kombat's a better fighting game as a whole, but it was still fun.
Here's the thing for me for both of these two. Killer Instinct Gold didn't even make my honorable mentions. And there's a reason why. And as far as Mortal Kombat Trilogy, for anybody wondering, that came out for the PlayStation, the Nintendo 64, Windows, Sega Saturn, DOS, MS-DOS. Yeah, it came out for a lot of things. I remember also seeing the Sega Saturn covers. That's why I kept trying to remember if I was right or wrong. From what I hear and remember, apparently the mechanics of Mortal Kombat Trilogy for the 64 were not that good at all. Apparently it was better suited on the PlayStation and even the Sega Saturn. Apparently the 64 port was not that good. Still good enough to play. I mean, I still remember playing Trilogy. I mean, come on, it's fucking three Mortal Kombats with characters in one game. Oh yeah. I remember a lot of characters being in that game, and that was interesting.
Yeah.
The reason why Killer Instinct Gold did not make my list at all or even get a nod from me is because I love Killer Instinct 1. It was a treat for me, dare I say an honor for me to get to go play Mortal Kombat in the arcades when I could. I only got to play it about 2 or 3 times, and I was shit horrible at it because I've never been good at arcade fighting games, period. Except for maybe Soul Calibur 2. I was decent enough at that. I could kind of hold my own at that. But I played Killer Instinct on the Super Nintendo God knows how many hours. I mean, that was one fighting game that I fell head over heels in love with, maxing out the difficulty and playing and losing and getting better at that game. Never competitively, but I loved it. To this day, I love it. I have the new Killer Instinct on my Steam. Got all the DLC, all the characters, and oh my god, they did it such good justice. Come on, you got fucking Mick Gordon making the fucking soundtrack for this game. Mwah, mwah, good stuff. What I don't like, and I don't even know if the same applies to the arcade, because I haven't played the arcade Killer Instinct 2. What I did not like about Killer Instinct Gold at all is for some, I'm assuming for only some, but it may have been for all the characters. I don't know. I was only ever good with 3 characters that I played mainstay. I played as Saberwolf first and foremost. Then it went to Fulgor, and then it went to Cinder. When I played those 3 characters on Killer Instinct Gold, all of their moves had changed. All their movesets had changed. Predominantly Saberwolf. Saberwolf was a charged character. That's why I liked him. Charged characters are hold one direction, push the other direction, press a button, you do a move. I think Guile's a charged character. Saberwolf's a charged character. I'm pretty sure somebody in the SNK is a charged character. But he's not a charged character in Gold. He's like back to down does a move and forward to up to, I don't remember. It threw me off. It threw me off and it pissed me off. Graphically, for what it was back in the day, it was good. I'm sure the people that loved Killer Instinct 2 on the arcade loved it for the 64 for what a port was worth. But I remember renting this game and being pissed off. Not liking it at all. I am not a fan of that. Don't do that. Don't give me who the fuck does that? You can't put fucking Street Fighter 2 with Ryu having down, forward punch as a fireball, and then you go to Street Fighter 3 and it's up, back, hold back, forward, kick for a fireball. Like, you don't do that. You don't fucking do that.
Yeah, see, I didn't have that prior bias.
Yeah.
I started with Gold, I believe.
Right. So, my number 7 on my 64 list is Mario Kart 64. Oh, man.
And that's my number 4.
Woo! What, Chris? What a multiplayer fucking game, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. So, for anybody who's unfamiliar with Mario Kart, stop your life right now and go find some way to play a Mario Kart game. You can start with the Super Nintendo version if you want to. Just know that Mario 64 and Super Mario, 2 different things. To the degree of, in Super Nintendo's Super Mario Kart, there were coins on the ground in Mario Kart, and one of the ways that you increased your max speed or speed up was to collect the coins. That's not in Mario Kart 64. Both of those games do have the ability to find random items on the ground, and then you can get it to use either for your benefit or against other racers. That's fine. I highly recommend, if you really want to start with one, excuse me, if you want to start with a Mario Kart, you can really pick any one of the new generations and be fine.
Yeah.
I mean, Mario Kart has successively and progressively increased in quality over time. You got more racers, different racing options, different racing abilities, different racing power-ups, different stages that are all fine-tuned and match some sort of Mario-style theme, some sort of Nintendo-esque theme. So, really, anywhere from 64 on up, you're going to have fun.
Yeah.
For me, talking about this list, Mario Kart 64, hella fun. I played through many of the cups on my own. I don't know how far I made it. I'm pretty sure at least the star cups, I either beat them all or did fairly well. But this game, I predominantly remember playing this multiplayer for two reasons. You've got two different ways to play this. You can race against other racers, which is you and friends racing against each other around the track, or you can do a battle mode, where you have these balloons attached to your cart, and you have to go around and hit other players with an item of some sort, and whoever's the last to still hold a balloon on them wins. There was only four or six courses. I can't remember. I want to say 4, but for the battle course, it was either 4 or 6 courses.
Probably 4.
Yeah. And then you had all the tracks from the racing game to race multiplayer. Mm-hmm. Fun game. I mean, hella fun game. Definitely one of those games that you want to have 4 players for. Definitely one of those games that the more people you have, the better off you are. Now, Mario Kart is also known for having some of the most rage-inducing fucking mechanics because of Nintendo. The way that they do these games, this is no fucking bullshit, okay? If you think playing a game of Monopoly, Mario Kart is the real life Monopoly. Mario Kart is the video game equivalent of Monopoly. I'm making that the fucking title of the goddamn episode right now. They have it's so you can't be mad at them because you understand why they did what they did. But the fucking algorithm that they have set up in these Mario Kart games are, the further back you are from first place, the more likely you are to get the almighty God shit. You have generic power-ups in Mario Kart 64, okay? You can shoot a green shell out, forward or backwards. If you shoot it out, it just bounces around the walls a few times. After like 8 or 9 bounces, it disappears. Yeah. You have a red shell, which you shoot it out, and it homes on the person in front of you, which is cool. That's when you immediately want to get somebody knocked out of the way. You have a mushroom that grants you, like, a boost. You have another mushroom that you can hit and keep hitting, and it gives you, like, an amount of boost power for a amount of uses, I guess you'd say.
Good for shortcuts.
Good for shortcuts.
Cross grass and stuff.
You have
bananas.
You have bananas you can throw out in front of you or behind you, and whoever hits the banana, be it you or somebody else, they spin out. You have a 3 banana, which lets you, or a trail of bananas, which lets you throw out a bunch of bananas doing the same thing. So on and so forth. Then you have some bigger power-ups like the star, which it puts you at a faster pace. You drive faster, and anybody you touch spins out, and they're done. Well, for a moment.
You're invincible, so if you get hit with something, it doesn't affect you too.
Right. You're invincible while you have the star. Then you have this fucking shell, the blue spiky shell, which shoots out and goes after the person in first place. Whoever the fuck is in that blue shell's way also gets knocked out. If you're in second place, your chances of getting that blue shell are probably 1 in 100. If you're in second place, maybe 7-8%. So if you're in 7th or 8th place, you're getting that fucking blue shell. And it's happening. If you're in 7th or 8th place, you're going to get you're getting nothing but red shells times 3, stars, and that blue shell. I mean, you're never getting fucking bananas. I mean, it's the way. And the reason why they do this is to help people that are in the back catch up. It's to help people who are slacking off in the back and not winning. It gives them a chance to win. And by God, will they ever win? The reason why Mario Kart, it's a meme, yes, but it is the fucking truth. The reason why Mario Kart is the video game equivalent of Monopoly is because every match, if not every other match, Chris will be in first place, and he has a fucking lead. I'm in 7th place. I throw a blue shell out, I knock out 6 of the other 8 racers, and I blow over his ass, and I cross the finish line as he dies right in front of it. It happens all the time. Or you get hit with 1 red shell from one racer and 2 more red shells from another racer, and then somebody blows by you with a star on. You're like, wow, I was in 2nd place, trailing right behind the 1st place guy, but now I'm in 6th place. Oh, nope, now I'm in 7th place. Fuck me. Great lap 3 of 3. Awesome.
Yeah, and it's always on lap 3.
Yep. But in saying all this, with all this rage this game induces, it is fucking fun. So many multiplayer hours, so many hours of fun lost playing Mario Kart 64. And Mario Kart 64 is not alone. I played Double Dash. I played almost all of them, and they all offer the same thing: good, fun multiplayer.
Yeah, Mario Kart 64, I don't think I ever played single player.
Yeah. This
was a pure multiplayer. Let's go race. Excuse me. We didn't do battle mode a whole lot. It's fun to play every once in a while, but it doesn't have the same appeal that the main races do.
Yeah.
But the races are so much fun. That chaotic aspect to it, gives it a lot of variety and replay value, because one person may be overall better at racing, the power-ups, almost completely negate that.
Yep.
There are, sure, if you know where shortcuts are and whatnot, which I don't even know how much Mario Kart 64 had compared to the modern ones, but those, it just evened the playing field quite a bit, and it was a lot of fun to just hang out and chill and play. And that's kind of a trend with the 64 games.
Yeah.
There were a lot of good, chill games.
Yep. I mean, even multiplayer games like Star Fox 64, it's got a multiplayer versus mode, but I remember just picking that game up and I didn't care who was in first or who won. It's just, fucking drink some fucking sodas and chill out and talk about shit and play Star Fox,
Yeah.
So, Chris, your number 6, if you please.
So my number 6, and you'll be able to talk about this game a whole lot more than me,
was Quest 64. Oh, no!
was GoldenEye 007.
Oh, yes, I can. But I will wait.
This is another game where I'm pretty sure I never played single player. When I played it, it was, with other people playing multiplayer, mainly with you. It's a first-person shooter based on GoldenEye. I'm trying to think if there are any mechanics specific to it that stood out. I don't think there was.
I mean, maybe the objective-based things, but like mechanics specifically, not really. Yeah. I mean, it's a fucking solid 64 title, folks. It's first-person multiplayer. This was the first game, in my opinion, that did something like what Halo did years later, which was push first-person shooters even more into the limelight of console gaming. The fact of the multiplayer aspect of GoldenEye alone put this game in a lot of households and got a lot of people interested. It's even as archaic as it is today, back then, boy, that was the shit. Multiple levels to play on, several levels to play on, different weapons of different types. yeah, you had cheats that you could unlock throughout the game and would add different effects to things too. Great single player game with lots of levels and lots of maps with lots of objectives. I mean, fucking solid game, solid first person shooter, even as old as it is today. Solid as it was back in the day. Definitely worth a spot somewhere on the list. I guess I'll move on to my number 6, which kind of mirrors your number 6 in a way. My number 6, Perfect Dark for the N64. What we mentioned earlier was that GoldenEye, I think we mentioned it. If not, we'll do it now. GoldenEye for the 64 was made by Rare. Another Rare first-person shooter title, Perfect Dark, for the Nintendo 64. Took a lot of the ground model aspects of GoldenEye, like the character models, the system, the style, the setting, and all that, and put it to a more futuristic sci-fi style setting. This would have initially turned me off because, I mean, hey, we got aliens in the game. You know, it's the typical, like, gray aliens. I would have been like, whatever. But I'm glad I didn't, because this game was very fun. It just boosted a lot of things you know about GoldenEye. Had more weapons of more different varieties. New levels with new designs. Multiplayer aspect as well. One key thing that this game had, the GoldenEye 64 did not have, is this was one of the first games I can remember that lets you put computer-controlled AI in the game to play against as well. So you could have a death match with 8 people in that death match. Me and Chris could be 2 of those people. The other 6 are all AI controlled, and you could also select the difficulty that you wanted those to be at. I will tell you now, if you are a single-player person, do not put 7 other bots in that game set to the maximum difficulty, because they will one-shot you through a wall every chance you spawn, you fucking moron. The higher...
that was always fun.
Yeah, the higher difficulty you put those AI, they are incredible. I mean, they are running backwards, basically getting headshots every time they see you from almost any distance with almost any weapon. It's fucking insane. But that was still okay. That was a cool thing for me, because you could have 8 people in a match, and 4 of those could be me and 3 friends, and the other 4, we would have 1 that was almost fucking godlike, 2 of them that were average, and 1 fucking cannon fodder. So it just added more people. Even though that's just if you have friends. If it was just you could still have other bots in the game. You could still have people to play with, so to speak. And yeah, there was a variety of weapons. 2 that come to mind immediately. 1, everybody knows about this one. There was a sniper rifle that basically lets you see infrared through walls, and basically lets you shoot people through. You could see through and shoot people through walls. I mean, enough said. You could see somebody through a wall and then shoot them through a wall. Cool. Another thing, one of my favorite weapons was a briefcase that the main, usually every weapon had like a secondary function. Another thing that this was the first that I saw, was guns having multiple options. So you had this metal briefcase. The first option was it turned into like a little machine gun, so to speak, a rapid fire weapon of some sort. The secondary function is it would fold up and you could into a turret, which could be thrown on a wall. So it was like a defense mechanism. You could be tucked up in a corner or in some hallway guarding a weapon. You could just throw this briefcase in a secondary form onto a wall, and you had a turret that would shoot people when they come by. Almost every weapon had a secondary form of something like that. I wish I could remember more for you, but those were there was 2 weapons that really stuck out to me in that game. Same stuff that I remember from GoldenEye, multiple single-player levels with multiple difficulties, with more objectives to run through. Just a good game. Good enough game to make it my number 6. Chris, what about your number 5?
So my number 5 is Star Fox 64.
Whew, that is my number 4 on this list. Oh, Chris. So good.
I have a question for you.
I have an answer.
Because
yes.
I was looking on the wiki, and it doesn't seem to, but I thought I had memories of it. Was there no multiplayer in the story?
In the story, no. Only there was a multiplayer. There was a battle multiplayer.
Right. I know there were the other modes for that, but I thought there was. I guess we literally just sat there so much watching each other play through the story that I thought there was a multiplayer mode.
Probably.
Because that's what we would do. I don't even remember playing the multiplayer very often. We would just literally sit there watching the story mode of this game.
Yeah.
And for those that don't know, Star Fox 64 is a scrolling shooters game. You're in a ship. What's the accurate term for it?
R-Wing.
R-Wing? I mean, that's the name of it, yeah.
I mean, it's a spacecraft.
Yeah, it's a spacecraft.
It's a spaceship, I guess.
Yeah. But you were kind of in this
space plane.
It was a very on rails type shooter. You had, I believe, the wiki terms it like corridor mode is what they call it, where you have this one path you go down. I mean, essentially on rails, where you can move left and right and stuff, which kind of makes it not on rails, I guess, is because you typically on rails can't move around. But it's similar in that you're forced on this one path, and that's you have. This is where do a barrel roll comes from.
Mm-hmm. Which, come to find out, he was actually doing an aileron roll, not a barrel roll. But hey.
But yeah, I mean, it was just so much fun just to watch, even and to play.
Yeah, lots of good memories about this game. First-person style combat in this R-Wing space plane, I guess you'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple levels, and I'm pretty sure Star Fox as well did it, but one of the things that Star Fox 64 was known for was branching paths. So even though they were linear in a level, you could do certain things in the level that made you go down another path, not only in the level, but would open up a different path in the story itself. So you had multiple pathways. You had like an easy, medium, and hard, and you could go anywhere from easy to hard or back around, depending on what paths you took, depending on what key triggers you initiated in the game. Awesome fucking game. So fucking fun. So much. You get weapons to upgrade your ship. You can fire lasers faster. You fire more lasers. You can fire twice the amount of lasers. You have shields that will guard you from taking damage. Whenever you do like a barrel roll, I mean not the barrel roll, but the aileron roll. Fuck it, they call it barrel roll. But you could basically deflect fucking shots off you. You could hear them ping off your ship. You could do different. You could go ahead.
Your wingmen, the other characters, they'd be on screen shooting at enemies and helping you and doing things.
Yeah.
But they could also be chased by enemies and forced to retreat.
Mm-hmm.
So you lose whatever ability they give you, like scanning enemies, or Falco could actually locate alternative routes.
Yep.
So you lost that ability if they're forced to retreat.
Yep. Another key thing about this game is personality. I said that about Mario 64. Mario 64. Paper Mario. Same thing here. All these characters have personality. Even the secondary and tertiary characters offer something to the flavor pool. There is a story for what you're doing. There's a lot of little surprise flavor in the game as well, through the couple of different endings. It's just so good. There are levels where they just go from point A to point B. There are areas that there are parts in the game that are what they call all range mode, where you're basically going around in this big circle and you're killing enemies or doing objectives. Just a good, fun game. And yes, it is a solid point, man. I think that's something we sorely missed, especially with it having 4 ports. But I guess given that the single player was so narratively driven, it wouldn't, I guess you would have somebody would be forced to do something, a story-specific thing in a game. It probably would have made it kind of rough. But that is something that we need. We need a 4-player multiplayer Star Fox story-driven game. That's awesome. Yeah, there was a multiplayer. We've mentioned this a few times already, but there was a multiplayer. It's usually like a deathmatch multiplayer style setting. There was a standard one, which were 4 people in 4 R-wings, and you fly around in an all range mode, and you shoot each other. Whoever's the last one wins. There was also a way, depending on the scores you got, to unlock a on the ground mode where it was your characters having rocket launchers and you all shoot at each other. Lastly, there were tiers of difficulty in the story, which I mentioned already, but the amount of enemies you killed in the game affected a score. And the higher the score you got, the more score you got total throughout the game, and the more score you got throughout the game could unlock different things. So all around a good game, had a lot to offer, a lot of replay value. I want to say right now, I don't know if this is an end-of-time statement or just my statement, but I have no fucking problem with Slippy Toad. I never have. I mean, I know that he was not... I can hear and see how people would find him annoying, but they all talked in the game, and I didn't find him that annoying to peel me off. So
yeah, I don't remember anything negative about any of the characters.
Fun fact about real life for me, I did name one of my rabbits after Peppy Hare, so he's actually my oldest bunny. I named him Peppy. He's the cutie. But yes, I love Star Fox 64, and that also made my number 4 on my list. So good pick, man, good pick. Which means
we've covered number 4 for both of us.
Yeah. So that means that we are now, and my number 5 was Pokemon Snap, which we've already talked about. So cool. Yeah. We are down to our top 3. Before we do top 3, I want to take this time to give a shout out to our sponsor, KFC Chicken. Who's yeah, right. I want to talk just a brief minute again about some honorable mentions. Different from the ones we already talked about. I want to give a shout out to Donkey Kong 64.
Yeah.
Love that game. It's a collectathon, which is up my alley. I love collectathons. I love platforming collectathons as well. Ratchet and Clank Going Commando is up on my fucking wall in one of my top 15. That goes to show you I love collectathons. I'm all about it. And Donkey Kong 64 is nothing if not a collectathon. Archaic gameplay, yes. Some of the platforming was a little off, yes. But hey, I love it. Banjo-Kazooie, everything I just said about DK64 again. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you. It's also a platforming collectathon. With the difference here being is that there were 2 characters combined, and they both have different power-ups and different they both had alternate modes of travel, yada, yada, yada. I mean, it speaks for itself. It's a platforming. It's a collectathon. Up my alley. Super Smash Brothers. There is a competitive fucking level to Smash Brothers that I have never been that great at. But I will not sit here and besmirch Super Smash Brothers. Even every iteration past the first one, it's always been about good gameplay and a lot of fucking fan service. A lot of fan service. You cannot play Melee and Brawl and not be like, man, look at the fucking care they took into these games. I recognize almost everything in those games, and I love all the shout-outs. Good shit.
Yeah.
Yoshi's Story. I love Yoshi. I think he's fucking adorable. I loved every Yoshi game I played. Unfortunately, the reason why Yoshi's Story did not make my list at all was because that game is demonstrably short. It is way too short. I think there are 4, 8, 12, 16. I think there's only either 16 or 20 levels in the entire game. And you can only play one level in a stage at a time. So you come to the first map, you beat one level, you move on to the next map. You beat one level, you move on to the next map. Next map, and then you beat the game. That's fucking crazy. There are multiple levels. There are ways to unlock the other levels. There are multiple Yoshis to find and unlock. There are secrets. There is gameplay if you dig it out, which I have. But it's just so sad. This game is so pretty. It is so lovely, the charm that this game gives off. But the fact that it is so short, it puts me off. Now, it is childish as well. Not childish, but is definitely geared for a younger audience. That can also put people off of the game. I don't care. I treat it the same way that I treat Kirby games, maybe to a lesser degree. This game specifically, because it is so younger based. But I like it. I have fun with it. I just wish it was longer. I really wish it would have been done a different way. Bomberman 64, another good game.
That was one of mine.
Woo! Same thing that I said about DK64 and Banjo-Kazooie. Again, the difference being here is you can bomb shit. Hell yeah. I'm all about that. Lots of collectibles, lots of little, there's these gold plates you gotta find throughout the levels, and they're hidden all over the place. A lot of mechanics, a lot of puzzle solving shit to go along with as well. Good time. Last but not least, Doom 64. I love Doom. I've loved all the Dooms, and I had a good time with this one. It was actually kind of crazy for me to see Doom on the Nintendo console again, but it was there. Had a good time. I enjoyed it. Any other honorable mentions for you, Chris? You want to roll in the top 3?
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that you didn't mention either of the Zelda games.
Yeah. Kind of funny that, huh?
Uh-huh.
I will go ahead and mention Majora's Mask right now. And I've got a confession to make about Majora's Mask.
Okay.
I have never played The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask.
Neither have I.
Never. I don't believe I've even started The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask. Now hold on. I hear everybody booing right now. I think I hear somebody breaking down my door. I'll be right back. I may be murdered. Tell my wife I love her. The only thing that I knew about Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask back in the day, now I'm saying this back in the day. I'm saying this back in the day when it was released, is that this game had a huge time mechanic. Hold on, I can already hear you saying shit again. Just hear me out. That's what I heard about this game, that there was a huge time mechanic in this game. Like, you have so many days to beat this game, or so many days to do this story. That's all I knew, and it always steered me away from the game. Number 1. Number 2, I didn't have a lot of friends in my personal circle that had or played this game, so I had nobody giving me lip service. I had nobody promoting this game to me, so I didn't know. I knew that since it was a Zelda game, it was going to be good, but I didn't have anybody behind that going, hey, yes, I played this, and here's why it's good. And I also didn't have anybody behind me going, oh, yeah, and this is why the time mechanic is not something you should be worried about. Because the time mechanic is basically moot. There are things in the game that let you manipulate the time, the deadline, so that the timeline doesn't mean shit. I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, I'm only making excuses because this is a Zelda title. It is a Zelda title in the Zelda franchise, and I feel horrible and shameful and, slap me, I'm so bad. But I have never played this game. I mean to play this game. And I believe the way that I will play this is part of the 3D remake, or whichever one it is for the 3DS. Maybe even. Yeah. Whenever I can snag me a copy and I can muster the gumption to play it, I will. But this game was made in what, Chris? Like 1964, and I have never played this.
Majora's Mask was 2000.
Oh. Well, it's been 17 years, folks, and I still have not played this game. I just want to put it out there. Okay, this is nothing about the game is horrible, and I've heard it's horrible, and I just don't want to play it. This has been a horrible, horrible circumstance deal with me. It's just all it is. So I will play it sometime and get my official opinion on it. But no, never played it. Sorry.
What about Ocarina of Time?
Chris, why don't you go ahead and give me your top 3? We'll start off with number 3, yeah?
Real quick before I get to number 3.
God damn it! I'm
not putting you on the spot
me
again.
into telling mine.
But Cruisin' USA. That's a game that I completely overlooked when I was looking through the list of games, but that was another one that a friend had, and we would just race. They also had the arcade chairs, which was usually Cruisin' World. So I think I actually played Cruisin' World in the arcade and Cruisin' USA on the console. But that was a fun little chill game. But that's it for honorable mentions for me.
One of the few games I remember from the arcade as well, I will always, and I still do it to this day if I play it, doing the double tap the gas and doing the, yeah. I still suck at it because I suck at all racing games, but I always double tap my gas.
So my number 3 is Perfect Dark.
All right.
Now, I mentioned that I didn't own a 64 until I was an adult. When I bought the 64, I bought the 64 and a copy of Perfect Dark.
Mm-hmm.
And up until probably a couple of years ago, that was all I owned. And now I have Super Mario 64 as well. So those are the only 2 games I own for my 64. So that should say, how cherished Perfect Dark is for me. I've mentioned before that this game stuck out to me much more than GoldenEye did. This was another one where, I guess it did have a single player.
Yes, it did.
But I didn't care. I never played it. Playing the multiplayer was so much fun. And you mentioned the AI, one-shotting you and camping you and stuff. I would load up with all the AIs, and I would gradually ramp up the difficulty and just keep pushing it. The Far Sight, which is the one you're talking about, you could see through walls. I believe that's what it's called. That was so much fun. One thing about this game that I completely forgot when I bought it was that you don't get all of the multiplayer unless you have the expansion pack.
Yep. You
literally could not play it. So I bought my 64, bought a copy of Perfect Dark, went home to play it, couldn't play multiplayer. I was like, huh? And then it clicked. I was like, oh, I need the expansion pack. So I had to go back to GameStop and get an expansion pack, so I could play it. But yeah, so, not much more to say beyond what you said, but it was just a fun game. I would play by myself, even though, again, I didn't own it back then, but my friends were doing whatever. I'd load up Perfect Dark and play by myself if they weren't playing.
Yep.
We usually play together, but yeah, good game.
Definitely a upgrade from GoldenEye, no doubt about it, all the way around.
Yeah, and it was 3 years after GoldenEye for timeline on it.
Speaking of which, Chris, my number 3 is GoldenEye for the 64. Okay. I don't know if it's so fucking hard to do our list this way because you're talking about it and I'm like, all right, I really want to gush, but I gotta wait. Gotta wait. But yes, GoldenEye irked out far up the list for me. Perfect Dark for me was at number 6. This is number 3. Top 3 of all time. Now this could also be a victim of circumstance because yes, I did play Perfect Dark multiplayer often. GoldenEye was predominantly multiplayer and single player, but a fuck ton of multiplayer. Like, almost as equally, if not more hours. And again, for me, given the age I played it at, that was very rare. I mentioned it several times, I didn't grow up in a multiplayer environment. So when I did, it was an awesome thing to have. And, yes, GoldenEye was, so many hours lost, not even lost, so many hours cherished playing this game.
Yeah.
Couple things about this game that are mirrored in Perfect Dark, but again, you do have a single player campaign with somewhere around the neighborhood of 25 or 20 to 30 different levels. All of them have different difficulties, which have different levels of objectives and number of objectives. Talking about the AI back in the day, was the hardest difficulty means that they could basically one shot you because they got nothing but headshots. This was I'm trying to talk about this game in the time that it was released and the time that I played it because that's my fondest memories of this game. Back then, the AI was great. Back then, it was a first-person shooter with great AI for what I knew, for what I had played, which was Quake 3 Arena. That was my only other experience with first-person shooters. It had story aspects in the game. All the objectives were usually in some type of story-based shit, so even the objectives meant something. But there was a couple extra levels you could unlock in the game. I believe by doing the harder difficulties, there were cheats you could unlock in the game that would affect not only gameplay but just extras like not costumes, but like big head mode where you had gigantic heads or big hands. Or one of my favorites was paintball mode. So every time you shot a bullet on the wall, it didn't just leave like a bullet hole; it left like a paintball splatter.
Yeah,
little stuff like that. Multiplayer, oh boy, what fun! Almost, it wasn't. It was like around half the levels that you could play single player, you could play multiplayer, and very archaic. Yes, I know that. No, this was back in the day. No jumping, no aiming down the sights, but you had pretty much all the weapons from the single player game made it over to the multiplayer game. Your characters, there were a couple characters that had distinct advantages. If you ever hear the meme about playing Odd Job, that's because Odd Job was half the character size of anybody else, so he was harder to hit. My favorite to this day is playing Boris, because Boris has a faster running speed. At least that's the way I always seen it. I run like a fucking gremlin as Boris. But, I mean, you had Rocket, you could set different... you could set different styles of the gameplay, and again, I'm talking about, imagine this for for people that weren't that versed with multiplayer, first-person shooters. Being able to pick a multiplayer match where you could pick the length of time, the weapons you use, the types of weapons that you're going to revolve around, either pistols or automatics or grenade launchers and rocket launchers, what have you. Slappers only, GoldenEye, which means everybody has a one kill weapon. Mm-hmm. Oh man, 4-player split screen, so screen watching was the thing, and everybody wanted to bitch about that. I mean, there's just so many fond memories, so many fun and fond memories of this game. Playing this game today again. It's a first-person shooter, folks. It has not aged well. It would be very hard to recommend you go back and play this game. If you're very familiar with the 64 controls, if you want a very old-school, archaic idea of where first-person shooters came from, you can go give it a try. You can go back today and play something like Mario Kart 64 and have a damn good time. You can go back and play Pokemon Snap and have a damn good time. GoldenEye, unfortunately, you're better off playing something newer, like maybe Battlefield 1 or even Call of Duty if that's your thing. But yeah, unfortunately, that is a gem that's kind of time locked. It's only going to be truly, genuinely appreciated by that generation and the generations around it. Because again, it's just a sad state of affairs. First-person shooters just don't age well. But for what it was back in the day, that game was so fucking good, it made my number 3 on my Nintendo 64 list.
You ready for my number 2?
I certainly am.
I'm going to be surprised if you've ever even heard of this game.
Oh, really? Clay Fighter 63 and a third? Come on, Chris. Come on, bruh. I'm all about Clay Fighter, man.
Nope. It is a little game called Wetrix.
I have heard of this game.
Okay.
And that's as far as I can tell you. I know of the title. Please tell me how this game made your number 2.
Yeah. And this game... it was so much fun. It's a very simple game. I say simple. It has its mechanics, but overall, it is a very simple game. Think of you've got your level. It starts out flat. All right. It's like let's say 15 by 15 tile square thing. That's your level. Okay. You get these blocks that fall occasionally, a la Tetris. Mm-hmm. Not quite the same thing. They're different, shapes and whatnot. But it's kind of the same concept where you have them and you have to place them. And the concept behind the game is water will routinely fall. Mm-hmm. And you want to trap as much water on the level as possible. Because whenever it falls off the edge or through a hole, it fills up this meter on the side, and when the meter fills up, you lose.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got this Tetris aspect where you have random pieces falling. You're trying to place them where you can to get the most water, while also avoiding, excuse me, while also preventing your water from falling to the holes from bombs that can fall. And if I'm not mistaken, you control where the bombs fall too. So you're trying to place those in a spot that won't cost you to lose water, because it's not a, instantly through your map thing. It'll break off this many layers of your rock you've built up to trap the water.
Mm-hmm.
So you build up, maybe more than necessary in some spots so that you can drop a bomb there and still retain all your water. So overall, it's a pretty simple concept. I had so much fun with this game.
Sounds like it. Dude, it made your number 2, I imagine.
Yeah, I really don't know why I had so much fun with this game, but I did. And, it's really frustrating because I wanted to play it again, because I didn't own this again. And I only knew one person that had it, and I'd never seen it or heard of it other than that one person that had it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I lost access to it, I had no way to play it. Well, I went to emulators later on, and I was like, oh, I'll download Wetrix. It was one of the bugged games that wouldn't work with the emulator.
Oh, no. Oh, man, that sucks, dude.
Yeah. So I still haven't been able to play it. It's been 16 years since I've been able to play it.
Wow.
But it stuck in my mind that much, and I enjoyed it that much that it's my number 2.
Well, there's a copy of Wetrix on Mercari Electronics for $13, man. There's another one for $70 on some damn store. Do you still have a 64?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say I have 2. We can make this work for you somehow. Because, dude, a fucking game that made your number 2 and you want to play it but can't.
Yeah, there's actually, and I was looking at the wiki just to refresh my memory about it, and it says there's a sequel on PlayStation 2.
Wow.
Called Aqua Aqua. Okay, thanks for, completely changing the name. But
yeah, it sure is. Aqua Aqua.
So let's see. I'll have to see if I can find that one. Maybe that's the one I play if it's as good.
Yeah. I'd say check out a gameplay and see what they did.
If there is one.
Yeah. Well, I just typed in Wetrix 2 and came up with that in about 4 YouTube videos. So there's stuff out there. There's material out there.
All right.
So Chris's number 2 is Wetrix for the N64. Yeah, if you're good, I guess I'll move on with mine.
Yep.
All right, so my number 2, and this is kind of mind-blowing for me right now, Super Mario 64 is my number 2.
Okay.
Let me geek out about this for just a moment, ladies and gentlemen, guys and gals. I was so fucking hyped about this game. I had a class in high school called electronics technology, or it was something technology, like building technology or something. It was some high school class specifically around technology. Kind of a pretty cool class for high school that I've never had any shit like it before. They had different robotic things. We put together this robot and we typed commands in to like code the robot to do certain things like pick up a block.
Yeah.
All sort of different things like that. They all revolved around technology and mechanics, and functioning things and moving and whatnot. They wanted us to do a report on anything technology that was coming out. Now, all sorts of things people did these reports on. There was gigantic earth-moving machines that were being developed, and they did that. Somebody did one on skyscraper technology. Somebody did something on technology for like micro technology for biomechanical technology, shit like that. This fucking nerd did it on Super Mario 64, the fucking video game. I was so hyped about this. I was a subscriber to Nintendo Power, and they had sent me a Super Mario 64 promo VHS tape, which featured the game, featured levels in it, talked about it, and promoted the game. I brought that tape to class and revolved my report, my verbal report, my oral presentation over that video. And I'm trying to sell this fucking game to a class of about 15, 16 kids, maybe 20. I don't think any of them played video games. None of them. But here's the thing. By the time that I was done with my presentation, because number one, I think I'm a pretty good fucking presenter. I was back then anyway. But two, this game wowed people. This game wowed a classroom of people that had never played video games. People that didn't give two shits and a fuck about video games. They saw this and were like, that's fucking cool. You damn right it's cool. We got Mario. We're moving in a 3D environment. That was the start of this game. I was selling this game to myself and to people before I even owned a 64. That's how impressed I was with this game. Where to start? Number one, if you don't know what Super Mario Brothers is, I don't know why you're listening to me other than you think our voices are good. Like, I don't know. How do you not know what Mario is? Mario 64 was the next Mario sequel in the Mario franchise, in the Mario series, and it was the first one to go into a 3D environment. Very fucking cool. As much shit as some people want to give the N64 controller, one of the things that it did introduce to the gaming world at large was an analog controller. Had an analog stick, which meant you could move in a 360 movement, 360 degrees for your movement, which means Mario could move in 360. Could also control his camera in pseudo 3D, given the C-stick. Holy shit, what a fun game. What a great addition to the Mario franchise, and what a great way to kick off Mario in a 3D world. Hub-based as far as where to go for your levels, but once you got into the levels, they were all different. They were all unique. Every level had, I want to say, a total of 6 stars you could get, and the stars accumulated as kind of currency to unlock more levels and unlock more content in the game. They all had different objectives. They all had different ways of going about collecting the stars. Sometimes you would have to catch an animal. Sometimes you'd have to climb a really, really tall mountain peak. Sometimes you'd have to fight a boss. Sometimes you'd have to go around and collect these 8 red coins. Oh, man. So fun. I'm sorry if I'm trailing off here. I think I feel a sneeze coming on, and it's interrupting my Mario 64. It's pissing me off. I'm doing that trick where you look at a light and it pulls the sneeze out of you and it's not working. It's just burning my nose. Mm-hmm. So, anyway, bunch of cool things about this game, man. The level designs, the multiple ways to finish the levels, the increasing progression of unlocking more levels throughout the game. The camera control in pseudo for, I say pseudo because I believe the C-stick just kind of turned the camera to specific degrees around Mario. But I mean, you saw Mario in 3D, that was still enough. That was for what it was back in the day. What the Nintendo 64 controller could give you and allow you for control and movement, it was awesome. Mario himself had different moves. He didn't just jump and duck anymore. He had, it was the introduction of the ground pound, where he would jump in the air and do a flip and slam his butt on the ground. He's had a triple jump, where he would jump 1, 2, the second jump would be a little higher, and the third jump would be a flip way, way higher, allow for more maneuverability and progression throughout the levels. Had a cool, one of my favorite one is a cool like turnaround move where if he's running forward, if he immediately pulls the stick backwards and jump, he'll do like a flip. It's a higher jump. It's how you can get to higher levels. You could duck. I mean, I'm going through his move set. That's how fucking nerdy I am about this game. The bottom line is, this was the first time Mario was set into a 3D world. It is a large game. It has a lot of platforming content. Very fun, very engaging, and absolutely fucking love it. It made my number 2 on my list. If you have not played this game has definitely aged well. Almost every Mario game has aged well in its own respect. So, give it a try. Definitely worth my number 2. So, Chris.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. We are down to our number 1s, respectively.
Yep.
Now, the fact that you and I are on Skype right now, it'll be hard for me to do like a countdown thing. But I'm very interested to know what your number 2 is. I mean, what your number 1 is compared to my number 1. Just for multiple reasons, I'm really concerned about this. I'm really interested and concerned at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
I know what your number 1 is based on our earlier conversation. It didn't click at first, but then I realized where you were going, and I was like, "Oh, okay, I got it now."
I want to say I know what your number 1 is, but now I don't know.
I mean, I bet you know. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. My number 1 is Super Mario 64.
Oh, what? Chris!
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
No! No!
I'm sorry your number 1 didn't make my list.
How did Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time not even make your list?
I never played it.
Podcast over.
I watched it played a little bit, but I never got to play it myself.
Do you understand? I'm going to have to go back in this fucking episode and edit out this whole segment now. I have to blur over. I have to, like, make, this is me. Hey, I'm Chris, and I have played Ocarina of Time, and I fucking love it. I've got to put that over you. Oh, man.
Easy there.
I'm dying. Hey, but that's okay. We all have our Greek tragedies in life. We all have those games that people have shoved down our fucking throat and we have not played.
Mm-hmm.
One of mine has been Majora's Mask. I just have never played that. Everybody's like, "Are you fucking crazy?" And here's the crazy thing, Chris. Of those 2 games, it seems like Majora's Mask has been the more popular one. Like, I thought
it was the other way.
See, I thought so too, but I mean, I see more, I hear more people. No, that's completely wrong. I guess I just see it like in my face more. I see more merchandise for Ocarina. I see a lot of merchandise for Majora's Mask. I see a lot of people talk about it. So, given the fact that I have seen Majora's Mask around so much, and the fact that I haven't played it has made me like expand it more. It's okay, man. All I'm going to say is you need to play it. You need to play it. And I think the same thing for you, man. If you want to play the better version of it, or a good version of it, play the 3DS version. Very fucking good. It has aged very well, in my opinion. So, give it a shot. But that's okay. We're not here to talk about what you haven't played. We are not here to bash Chris, despite the people who are doing it right now. The people who are typing their keyboards so hard they're breaking it in half. Chris has a top 10, and his number 1 is Mario 64. Go right ahead.
Yep. Not a whole lot to add after what you had to say about it. This was another game that, even though I own it now, I haven't had the 64 hooked up since it's one of the games where I bought the cartridge, but my 64's been in a bin since. I never actually booted it up on my own console.
Mm-hmm.
So I only got to play a little bit at a friend's house. I've talked about this before when I was talking about Mario Odyssey, but I like the flexibility it gives you in that you can basically choose, with some limitations of course based on stars, what you want to do next. If you're stuck on a level, you can move on. And I think the speed run of Super Mario 64 actually shows how flexible it is, because there are different modes based on, our different categories for the speed run of like, okay, to 40 stars to 60 stars. And there's so many different routes they can take to get to those 40 stars that, completely changes how fast of a run they can do and whatnot. But that translates, as a casual single player game, great.
Mm-hmm.
You have just so much flexibility, and you've got a lot of free roam too. You're not like corralled into this one path. You can usually go all over the area.
Mm-hmm.
So not only can you, have the freedom to choose the levels you want to play, but also where you go in the level, which stars you get. Most of them aren't, I say most, I think that's accurate to say most aren't locked behind something once you're in the level. As far as, you have to earn this star before you can get that one. There are some where you do something and then that unlocks another one. But for the most part, that's not there. That's not a limitation you have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's really my main contribution based on what you said. You covered it really well already.
Thank you. But yeah, I mean, it's up there in the top 3 regardless. So hell yeah, and it made your top. Do you still have your copy today, or a copy? Awesome.
Yeah, I still my 64 in the bin with 2 controllers and Perfect Dark and the expansion pack and Super Mario 64.
Nice. All right, folks. Well, my number 1. I mean, come on, guys. This Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Come on. Are we really up? I'm sure that we have some loyal followers who've been listening to other episodes and have heard me say, and I quote, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time is on my number 1 top 10 wall, or top 15 of all time video game wall. Of course this is my number 1. Of course it is. Don't bring up that fight, though, because, again, that was a fight between Link to the Past and Ocarina of Time, and Ocarina of Time won out. That's as far as I'm going to go with that. That was literally a 2 to 3 month debate, an internal struggle. A part of me died when I did not pick Link to the Past, but it had to be done. I have picked Ocarina of Time, the end. Oh, man. What to say about this game that hasn't been said enough in the world? What needs to be said that we haven't said on this podcast before in one way, shape, or form? This is an adventure game. It features a protagonist with a sword. You go around this semi-open world, and you slash things. You progress through levels. You beat bosses. You beat the end of the game boss, the end. That's a very quick and very brief summary. This game has a lot of charm to it, just like the other games. It has different areas with different townspeople. They all have their own life, their own personality, and given the Nintendo 64 lifestyle, or the lifespan that it was back in the day, around the era that it existed, I mean, they all had their own life. They all had their own way of doing things. They had a set program, etc. But, you go into a town and you'd see people running around town doing things. The dungeons were all unique. This is something that is severely missing in Breath of the Wild. If you ever want to hear an argument for what people are telling you what Breath of the Wild is missing, if you've never played Link to the Past or Ocarina of Time specifically, because it will give you a 3D idea of what it would be like, play this game and you'll see what it's missing, because all of these dungeons are unique. They all have their own theme. They all have their own weapon, additional secret hidden weapon that the dungeon revolves around, that progression in the dungeon usually revolves around, and the boss fights as well. This is not something that's new. This was also done in Link to the Past, but this game took an older game and just gave it a 3D face. It did the Mario 64 for the Zelda franchise. There's not much more you can do beyond that. That's going to wow people back in the day. That's all you had to do. You took the idea of Link to the Past for the Super Nintendo, and then you put it to 3D. That's basically what this game did. You got a horse that you could ride. You had a pseudo open world environment to ride around. You had different races of people to interact with. Fairly good storyline. I think it was very good. I think it wrapped up very well as well. Oh man, the different weapons, the different options that you had in the game. You had like a hook shot that could, I believe the hook shot was also in Link to the Past, but now you had it in a 3D form, so you could hook up to like a tree branch and go up a tree. You had the main stage were there. You had boomerangs. You had bottles. You had an area you could go fishing in. You could do that. You had, oh man, this game was so good for not only as a standalone game, but for bringing a 3D style to an already tried and true staple hallmark game like Link to the Past and a franchise like The Legend of Zelda. I have played this game recently as well. I played it in the last 2 or 3 years. It's aged well for me. I can see why for some people it doesn't. If you want to see an old iteration of Z targeting, this is the game really where it started at. That's the idea of you finding a target, you lock onto it, and no matter where you move in your 3D space, you are always locked onto that target. Dark Souls does it, but with a button, not a Z button. They call it Z targeting because you would press and hold the Z button to do that. That added way more 3D controls, way more options to the combat. I'm sorry if I sound like I'm half tired of when I'm doing this because we're approaching 4 hours, and also I have talked at length about this game through different episodes in the podcast. You can check them all out and find them. I'll talk about it. Another good source, if you ever want to have a good laugh, is Ego Raptor's Sequelitis. He does a Legend of Zelda episode. Very good. Talks about other stuff in this game. Gushes on it as well. As far as me, this is one of the most prominent, fun, enjoyable, charming 3D action/adventure games around. It is on my personal top 15 wall of all time video games. It is up there with the masterpieces of games. This is one of the games that when there is somebody that has not played video games, you want to go, hey, you want to know what this is about? You want to know what gaming is about? Here you go. There you go. You play this game. This is one of those games you can do it to. It has a good way of teaching. It's a very good progression. It's just good. The game is utterly good. It's just absolutely fun, absolutely entertaining, and is my number one Nintendo 64 game of all time, and one of my top 15 personal games of all time. Chris, I gotta say, you probably mentioned this before. I can't believe this just blew over my head until this list came up, but I did not know that you haven't played this game.
Yeah, I don't know that I've mentioned it. It's just
you may have kept this a secret for some reason.
You know, I did say I bet half of our list would be the same, and we had 6 of them that were on both of our lists.
Yep. And I think we did a good job. You know, we made some honorable mentions too. You know, we let the world know, we let our audience know that there were other games out there too. So I think we did a good job. But, ladies and gentlemen, guys and gals, I think that's going to do it for this episode. You have our personal, individual, end-of-time lists for the top 10 Nintendo 64 games that we love and cherish. What did you think of our list? What did you agree, disagree? But better yet, what is your top 10 Nintendo 64 games of all time? What are the gems that you hold? I'm pretty sure you're going to have some of the same ones. Hey, who knows? Maybe you have Jet Force Gemini and Quest 64 somewhere in your top 10. I don't judge. Chris doesn't judge. It's your list. It's all about your opinion.
Totally judge.
I totally fucking judge you. Quest 64, you fucking shitting me right now? You're basically saying my favorite pizza in the world is the microwave pizza that I get from the freaking Winn-Dixie market. You have never been to like a fucking brick oven pizza and don't get some culture, please, for me. Not to judge you, just get some culture. There's the Ocarina of Time on the same console. Fuck off with your Quest 64.
There's always Superman 64.
Yeah, oh boy. Why you gotta do that? We could always have a top 10 worst games, but, you know, who knows. We'll save that for another day. Let us know what your top 10 list is. What are your favorites? Let us know what you think of our list. What opinions you have? What do you agree on? What you disagree? Maybe there's some light that you wanted to shed on that we didn't. We ran this episode pretty long. This is going to be a 4-hour episode, so to speak. But hey, there could be shit about Mario 64 that Chris didn't mention. Maybe there's stuff about 64 Ocarina of Time I didn't mention. Let us know. We love and appreciate any and all feedback. We love hearing from you guys. Genuinely, we do. We got a Facebook page that may be where you found this podcast at. You can also email us at endoftimecast@gmail.com. That's endoftimecast@gmail.com. No funny spelling or numbers in there. You just put it in as you heard it. We have a Twitter page. You can send us a tweet. Any form of communication we would love to hear from. And you're almost guaranteed, be it a comment or a question, to probably pretty much get it read on this podcast. Until next time, I'm Michael.
I'm Chris.
Good night, everyone.